However, with the passage of time, the natural world's spiritual energy became thinner and thinner. Let alone heaven rank, even mystic rank and earth rank were experts that only the hidden aristocratic families could have. After sighing, Lin-Yi tried activating it. Of course, Lin-Yi was still a little nervous. This was because this martial skill only had wood and water element. Based on the fact that he could activate the frenzied fire fist, the forest of wood's 1,000 transformations, and the fact that he could refine the space within the jade pendant, he should have 3 attributes: metal, wood, and fire. But this martial skill had added a water attribute. Did he have a water attribute in his body? Lin-Yi didn't believe it. Alchemists with 2 attributes were rare. Blacksmiths with 3 attributes were almost non-existent. Quadruple attribute, what kind of concept was that? But Lin-Yi didn't give up. He followed the mantra of heavenly spring rain and started to circulate it in his body. He could circulate the mantra normally, but he didn't know if he could successfully activate it. Heavenly spring rain first form. Lin-Yi followed the instructions of the martial skill and released the first form of heavenly spring rain first form. But in the next moment, Lin-Yi's face turned ashen. Didn't succeed. Activation failed. Lin-Yi looked at his hands in disbelief. Just now, Lin-Yi had felt the power of the mantra. Just as he was about to send it out through his palm, he stopped abruptly. Impossible. How could this be possible? At the moment of activation, Lin-Yi was sure that he could successfully activate it. After all, the mantra of the martial skill had turned the chi in his body into the power of the martial skill and pushed it to the meridians in his palms. He was about to activate it, but the activation failed. Thinking of this, Lin-Yi used the mantra of heavenly spring rain again and tried to activate it for the second time. The result was still a failure. This result made Lin-Yi, who had always been successful in activating martial skills, turn pale. Previously, because he had the omnipotent martial skill, Lin-Yi thought that no matter what martial skill it was, he could successfully activate it. Especially after he combined the wood forest 1,000 transformations, 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, frenzied fire fist and 5 elements 8 trigrams palm into 2 new martial skills. Lin-Yi felt that he could activate any martial skill. But the current situation was a heavy blow to Lin-Yi. Heavenly spring rain couldn't be activated. Moreover, it was a martial skill that was very useful to Lin-Yi. He couldn't activate it, and this made Lin-Yi depressed to the extreme. Could it be that there was no water element in his body? The omnipotent martial skill was also based on the element in the body. If there was this element in the body, he could successfully activate the martial skill. If there wasn't this element in the body, he couldn't activate it? As soon as this thought appeared, Lin-Yi knew that his guess was probably right. Sighing, Lin-Yi turned around and left the room. He didn't continue to study heavenly spring rain anymore. Lin-Yi knew that he had mastered the mantra of heavenly spring rain. The reason why he couldn't activate it was because of other reasons. Shield bro, you're out. Yushu saw Lin-Yi coming out of the room and jumped up from the sofa. You haven't told me a fun story yet. Lin-Yi locked himself in the room when he got home. It could be said that Lin-Yi hadn't talked to Mingyao and Yushu since he came back from Woolenhate Mountain Range. This made Yushu a little unhappy. Shu, Lin-Yi has something important to do. He's studying martial skills. He doesn't have time to tell you stories. Mingyao pulled Shu back to the sofa and said to Lin-Yi, Lin-Yi, don't mind her. You go do what you need to do. Chapter 23:55. Okay. Mingyao was happy as well. It wasn't that she didn't want to listen to Lin-Yi's story, but she didn't want to interrupt Lin-Yi's business. She glared at Shu. Did you hear that? Big mouth, Shu? I'm talking to you. Fine, I won't tell you. Shu is a secret Shu. No one can ask her about things she doesn't want to say, Yushu said weakly. That's true. Mingyao surprisingly didn't refute this time. It was the truth. If Shu didn't want to say something, she wouldn't say it no matter how you asked her. Haha. Lin-Yi felt that this was a very warm life as he watched the sisters bicker. Every time he went out, he would think of this warm scene when he calmed down. Was this the feeling of homesickness? Was this his home? Sometimes, Lin-Yi would feel like he was a part of this villa, and his feelings towards this place surpassed even West Star Village. His longing for this place was also greater than West Star Village. In West Star Village, old Lin was the only person he missed, but Lin-Yi didn't miss him at all, because in West Star Village, Old Lin was invincible. This was also the reason why Old Lin would tell him to go back and hide whenever he was in trouble. The reason was similar to Gooden, but Old Lin's situation was more serious. Lin Yi told the Miss and Shu about his trip to Wulonghout mountain range. It was shocking, even more so than the Ice Palace's test. The enemies were stronger, and every step was terrifying. However, there were some key things that Lin Yi didn't tell them, such as Sun Jingyi's identity and the secrets of the Fire Lion and Sky-class Spider, as well as the Heavenly Dao. Shu and Meng Yao's jaws dropped when Lin Yi was done. They didn't think that Lin Yi's trip this time was so dangerous. Even though Lin Yi left out a lot of dangerous situations, the whole process was enough to scare them. Lin Yi, why is it so dangerous? Next time, don't go with just anyone. Meng Yao was starting to have some feelings for Sun Jingyi. Why did Lin Yi have to go with her? And so dangerous? Hee hee, she's my good friend. Lin Yi smiled. That won't do. What if something bad happens to you? What about me and Shu? Who's going to protect us? Eldest Mrs. Temper, which had been hidden for a long time, flared up again. I won't, Lin Yi said. Besides, I've also gained some benefits. Yao Yao, actually, Shield Bro gets stronger every time he's in danger. We shouldn't stop him, Yushu said all of a sudden. Meng Yao was a little surprised as she looked at Yushu, as if she didn't know her. Only when Shield Bro gets stronger can he protect us forever. Yushu continued. This was the first time she'd said something so profound and philosophical. She was completely different from the Shu of the past. Lin Yi looked at Yushu, surprised as well. Every time Shu told him about the journey, she'd always be laughing and joking. She'd never be this serious. However, the Miss didn't refute her. She remembered that Lin Yi had created the Fire Bagua Palm based on Taganlong's technique. He'd crippled Elder Bai in one move, so that was the truth. Lin Yi had really gotten stronger. If it was before, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to cripple an Earth-class late phase peak with one move. Shu, maybe you're right. Meng Yao nodded and turned to Lin Yi. Then you, be careful next time. Promise me and Shu that you'll stay alive. Don't take risks. Okay, Lin Yi smiled. Feeling the Miss care, Lin Yi felt warmth in his heart. It was just that he didn't know how to define his relationship with the Mississippi. At first, their relationship was very simple, just employer and follower, but later on, it seemed like they were more like friends. The Miss didn't order Lin Yi around anymore. Later on, now, they seemed to be good friends, but it didn't seem like it. Pure and ambiguous? But no matter what, it was a very good feeling. Shield Bro, come shopping with me and Yao Yao tomorrow. We haven't gone shopping in a long time. We don't want to go out when you're not home, Yushu said. It's been so long since I'm in college. I don't have much homework, and my weekends are even better than when I was in Songshan. Sure, Lin Yi nodded. He had a lot of things to do these days, one after the other. From Donghai to the Hidden House Summit, he had to go to Wulonghout mountain range. He didn't have much time to spend with Shu and the Mississippi-o. Shield Bro, you're the best. Yushu called out happily. Meng Yao didn't say anything, but there was a flash of joy in her eyes. The night passed peacefully, and the next morning, Lin Yi drove his big Cherokee out of the villa with Meng Yao and Yushu. Next door, in Han Jingjing's villa, Han Jingjing stood at the window with a wronged look on her face. She waved her fist. Lin Yi Bro, you don't even bring Jingjing out to play. What a waste of Jingjing working so hard for you. Humph. But after complaining, Han Jingjing picked up her tablet again and looked at it. But her phone rang. Han Jingjing took out her phone and looked at the caller ID. She picked it up quietly. Dad, Jingjing, how have you been? University life isn't bad, is it? It was a middle-aged man, naturally Han Jingjing's father. It's still all right. It's just that the Faculty of Botanical Medicine is different from what I've come into contact with in the past. It's a different specialization, so it's a little strenuous for me to learn it, Han Jingjing said as she rubbed her aching temples. Recently, she had been studying pill forging day and night, wasting countless brain cells. Haha, who told you to choose this major on the spur of the moment? Isn't it the same in economics? It's your specialty, isn't it? Mr. Han said with a smile. It's different. Anyway, I quite like this major. Han Jingjing smiled. As long as you like it. Mr. Han nodded and didn't say anything else. Yeah, it's my own choice. You don't have to worry, Dad. Han Jingjing said. Do I have to worry? You don't have to worry about our family. Mr. Han smiled. Right. How's little Chow? Chapter 2356. If Lin Yi or someone who knew Han Jingjing were here, they'd be very surprised. Wasn't Han Jingjing a nerd as well? But the Han Jingjing right now was very normal. Not cute at all. Yeah, I'll be counting on you for Lil Chow, Mr. Han said. All right, that's enough. I have a business to discuss here, and those ingredients you asked me to find are too hard to find. As for rainbow steel, blue crystal powder, and pure yellow jade, I've never even heard of them. Don't worry, take your time. It'd be best if you can find them. I want to give him a surprise. Han Jingjing said. I'll try my best. That's enough. I'm hanging up now. Mr. Han hung up naturally. Han Jingjing put down the phone and picked up her tablet, returning to her nerd self. Donghai was a provincial city, and the business streets were completely different from Songshan's. It was more prosperous here, and more orderly. There was a dazzling array of shops on the side of the street, and there were all sorts of international and domestic brand stores. There were all sorts of luxury cars in the parking lot as well, and Lin Yi's Grand Cherokee wasn't that eye-catching in comparison. An Audi TT parked nearby, and Lin Yi was in a bit of a trance. It was as if he was back in Songshan, when he went out with Yao Yao and Shu, and met Xiao Xiao for the first time. But the driver of the Audi TT was a fat woman, and that shattered Lin Yi's fantasy. Shaking his head, Lin Yi felt troubled. Xiao Xiao. He'd thought that after learning Sky Rain, she'd be able to help Han Jingjing with pill refinement, but it seemed like that dream was shattered. When would she be able to make a third-level pill? It seemed like the only way was to break through to Sky Class and get Han Jingjing to Earth Class late phase peak, and then find a chi-gathering pill for her. That was the only way. But there was still a long way to go before he could reach the heaven rank, and chi-gathering pills weren't easy to find. The Sky Elixir sex test made Lin Yi hesitate. He'd wanted rainbow steel, blue crystal powder, and pure yellow jade, but a chi-gathering pill seemed to be more worth it. Lin Yi was caught in a dilemma and had a headache. In fact, the Miss and Shu enjoyed the process of shopping. They didn't need to buy anything, especially after they entered university. Mengyao and Yushu were even more low-key. Although they were named as the prettiest girls in the school, they didn't fight for the limelight. They didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble for Lin Yi. After all, there were more people in the university. They came from all over the world and had all kinds of backgrounds. It was different from when they were in Songshan City. They didn't have to worry too much about the private high school under Pengzhan Industries. Kidnap, help, happened in an instant. After the fat woman was stuffed into the Mercedes-Benz van, the big man followed, and the van drove away. Lin Yi frowned. He could stop them if he wanted to, but Lin Yi didn't. He didn't know the fat woman, and they had nothing to do with each other. Secondly, he was accompanying the Miss and Shu for shopping. He wouldn't let something like this get in his way. Lin Yi wasn't a warm-hearted person. He only looked at the leaving Mercedes-Benz van and didn't pay much attention to it. Why is this black van the same as the one that kidnapped Xinyan? They both don't have a license plate and the same model? Yushu said, surprised. Could it be the same group of people? Mengyao noticed this as well. It looks like a Mercedes-Benz B200. Their modus operandi is quite similar. Oh. Lin Yi paused. He hadn't asked Chuntian and Elder Pai about Xinyan's kidnapping since he got back, but he didn't think that the kidnapping in the downtown area would be related to Xinyan's case. This made it even more likely that it was a coincidence. After all, Lin Yi didn't know the fat woman at all, and Lin Yi wasn't familiar with the kidnapping method either. Let's go. This has nothing to do with us, Lin Yi said faintly to the Miss and Shu. Mengyao and Yushu didn't want to stick their noses in other people's business, and they nodded. They were about to leave when a patrol officer ran over to them, yelling at Lin Yi and the others. Everyone, don't leave yet. You're all eyewitnesses. Can you please give us a statement? Lin Yi didn't think there was much point in giving a statement, but he had no choice. He stopped with Mengyao and Yushu. After that, the two asked Lin Yi and the others about the kidnapping. Everyone's story was pretty much the same. A black Mercedes-Benz B200 without a license plate kidnapped the fat woman from the Audi TT. As for the other details, no one paid attention to themselves. They were all too shocked by what they just witnessed. But then, a cheetah SUV sped over and stopped at the scene. Lingshan and Lu Wangli got out of the car, looking very serious. Captain Song. The two patrolling officers saluted and handed the statement to Lingshan. What's the situation? Are there any similarities to the previous cases? Lingshan instinctively thought of the previous kidnapping cases when she heard the word kidnapping. More or less, it's a black Mercedes-Benz B200 without a license plate. One of the patrolling officers said, but this time, it wasn't near the university city, so we can't rule out the possibility of someone using the same car to commit the crime. Yeah, Lingshan nodded. It was true. After the previous kidnapping cases, a lot of people knew about the car. If someone were to use the same car, it might confuse the police. Did you find out the hostage's identity? Lingshan asked. We've checked the car number, but we haven't gotten any results yet. We're still interrogating the eyewitnesses. The patrolling officer said. Chapter 23:57. It wasn't that Lingshan hadn't thought about asking Linny for help, but Linny had gone out a while ago, and she knew about it from Xinyan's case. That was why she didn't contact Linny. Now that Linny was back, naturally, she wouldn't let him go. She'd been worrying about the case recently, so why wouldn't she ask Linny about it? Linny. Lingshan walked over quickly. Linny rubbed his nose and smiled bitterly. It seemed that the more he didn't want to be a busybody, the busybodies found their way to him, and he had no choice but to do it. Lingshan, what a coincidence. Linny said helplessly. Coincidence? You didn't contact me when you came back? Lingshan wasn't very happy, especially when she saw Lin Yi bringing the miss and Shu out shopping. I didn't have the time, but I was going to contact you. Lin Yi wasn't lying to Lingshan. He had a qi-gathering pill in his hand, and he wanted to give one to Lingshan. He couldn't just give Qintian everything and not Lingshan. Really? Lingshan looked at the miss and Shu, noticing that they weren't hostile. Her relationship with Ming Yao and Yu Shu had improved quite a bit, and they weren't as bad as before. Really? Linny nodded. But you should get back to business first. Lingshan nodded and asked, do you have any suspects? I just came back, and it's only the third day. Where would I get a suspect? Linny smiled bitterly. I see. Lingshan sighed, a little disappointed, but she knew that it was reasonable. After all, Linny had just come back, and he didn't know much about the situation. She didn't ask, all right, you guys go shopping first. We'll talk later. Yeah, go do what you need to do. Lin Yi nodded before leaving with Ming Yao and Yu Shu. Lingshan was a little disappointed, but she still went through the notes patiently. After that, the documents of the hostages were sent to her. Lei Xiling was the daughter of Lei Daming, the president of the Donghai Chamber of Commerce. She was a fourth-year student at the Business College of Donghai Foreign Studies. She drove an Audi TT sports car and was probably here to shop. Lingshan's heart skipped a beat. Another student? Moreover, it was the daughter of a wealthy businessman. This was similar to the previous cases. It seemed that the other party was after money. Lingshan had no choice but to contact Lei Daming. Lei Daming was hiding in the Zhao family and packing his luggage. He was ready to go to Jiduan City to start a new business career. Suddenly, his mobile phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello, I'm Lei Daming. Lei Daming didn't dare to refuse. He was afraid that it was Lin Yi. Lei Daming? I'm Song Lingshan from Donghai's criminal investigation team. Your daughter was just kidnapped on the commercial street. Can you come to Songshan's police station? Lingshan asked. What? My daughter was kidnapped? Lei Daming froze. He didn't dare believe it. Although Lei Daming knew about the kidnapping cases in Donghai, he never thought that someone would dare kidnap his daughter. After all, his identity was there. Of course, it wasn't the president of the Donghai Chamber of Commerce, but the representative of the hidden house Zhao. After all, the kidnappers dared to kidnap the daughter of a mafia boss. Naturally, they wouldn't be afraid of him, the president of a chamber of commerce. However, he didn't believe that anyone would dare to mess with the hidden house Zhao. His identity and background weren't a secret, and the kidnappers would naturally investigate his background before kidnapping him. Yes, it should be done by the same group of suspects as the previous kidnapping cases. That's why I need you to come, Lingshan said. Wait, I'll be right there. Lei Daming was troubled. He had just lost his power and his daughter was kidnapped? This was too much of a scam. It was really an unlucky year. However, before Lei Daming could drive to the Donghai police station, the kidnapper's phone call came first. Lei Daming? A voice changer came from the other side of the phone. You? Who are you? Lei Daming was shocked. He could vaguely guess what was going on. Prepare 20 million, or don't blame us. The person said coldly. Don't doubt our reputation. You should have heard of the previous kidnapping cases. Of course, if you don't cooperate, we'll kill you. Wait, I don't have 20 million, Lei Daming said bitterly. You don't? You're the president of Donghai Chamber of Commerce, and you have so many businesses under you. You don't even have 20 million? Who are you kidding? The person heard Lei Daming's words and became impatient. He humphed coldly. If you don't want anything to happen, hand over the money. Don't think that I don't know your background. You're a dog of the hidden house, Zhao? How could you not have 20 million? Lei Daming didn't expect them to find out about his hidden identity. It seemed that the kidnappers didn't care about his identity at all. However, he wanted to cry. I'm no longer the president of Donghai Chamber of Commerce. I've been fired. The hidden house Zhao doesn't need me anymore. I don't have any money now. I don't care. Release her when you see the money. Kill her within 24 hours. The person humphed coldly and hung up. Lei Daming didn't know what to do. He wanted to ask for help from the hidden house Zhao, but he remembered that he'd offended Lin Yi before. The hidden house Zhao probably wouldn't help him, and it was obvious that the kidnappers weren't afraid of the hidden house Zhao. Thinking back to how the gambling bro's daughter's golden class bodyguard was crippled in one hit, it seemed that the kidnappers were quite powerful. But no matter what, Lei Daming still headed to the police station first. On the way, he thought about how he should ask the hidden house Zhao for help. After parting ways with Lingshan, Lin Yi brought Mingyao and Yushu to a shopping mall nearby. They shopped for the whole morning, but didn't buy anything. The three of them had lunch at a restaurant in the mall. Mingyao was drinking her soup after dinner, while Yushu was looking at Lin Yi with those big eyes of hers, as if she wanted to say something, but didn't know what to say. What do you want? Lin Yi asked. I heard that there's a casino in the basement of this mall. I've never been to a casino before. Shield bro, can you bring me and Yao Yao to see it? Yushu said pitifully. Casino? Lin Yi blinked. He didn't expect there to be a casino in the basement of this mall. Chapter 2358. This phone call made Grandpa Yu experience a complicated feeling of losing something and then getting it back, so he made up his mind to get rid of all unstable factors. He couldn't let Lin Yi hinder the rise of House Yu. If Lin Yi really took Yuning away, it would be too late to regret. That place Patriarch Xuanshan's expression was a little gloomy as he quietly looked at Taganlong, who was lying on the hospital bed with his eyes closed. He felt extremely complicated and irritable. Master. A voice broke the silence. Little one, you're back? Patriarch Xinshan raised his head and asked indifferently, how's the matter? The backup plan has already begun. The Heavenly Elixir sect has already informed them to change the rules of the trial. As for the hidden house Yu, I've already informed Yu Tianqing of my master's intentions. Small one said calmly. All right, he said. Yes. Patriarch Xinshan nodded. Once the backup plan is activated, we'll have to waste a lot of energy and effort again. Furthermore, we might not succeed. Is there any news about the murderer who injured Taganlong? I'm sure it's not Zhang Naipeo. First, there's no need for the everyday sect to lie to us, little one said. We're in a cooperative relationship. Second, Naipeo's practitioners' arts aren't focused on harming people, but on absorbing qi. Forget it. Let's put this matter aside for now. Patriarch Xinshan also knew that the possibility of finding the murderer was low, especially since he did not know which country the murderer was from. It was even more difficult, so he continued. I'll put all my energy into the backup plan. As for Tagan Dragon's healing, Little one asked, his injuries are too serious, and third-grade pills are useless. There's no way to cure him for the time being. I'll think of a way with him after your eldest senior uncle comes out of seclusion, said Patriarch Xianxian. Yes, master. Little one nodded. Zhao Qibing didn't expect to get a call from Han Xiaopa, however. Seeing Han Xiaopa's call, he didn't dare to not answer. He just offended Lin Yi today. Who knew if Han Xiaopa's call was from Lin Yi? So Qibing didn't dare to delay and picked up the phone carefully. Young Master Pur, why did you call me? Master Bing, do you have time? Come out for a cup of coffee and have a chat? Han Xiaopa asked directly. This, young Master Pur, it's already so late. Is there anything? Qibing froze. He didn't know why Han Xiaopa was looking for him, but he was sure it wasn't to treat him to coffee. If there's anything, you'll know when you get here. I just have some things to discuss with you regarding the Sky Elixir sex trial. Of course, it's Boss Lin Yi's idea, Han Xiaopa said. Oh, okay. You tell me the location. I'll go over now. Zhao Qibing let out a breath of relief after hearing Han Xiaopa's words. It was good that they weren't looking for trouble. As for understanding the Sky Elixir sex test, it wasn't a problem. Zhao Qibing knew that Lin Yi had participated in the test of the Ice Palace and passed it without a hitch, so it was reasonable for Lin Yi to be interested in the test. However, the hidden Han family had never participated in the Sky Elixir sex test before, so naturally, they had to find the hidden Zhao family to understand the situation. In fact, Zhao Qibing had never been to one before, but he had to send Zhao Qiku in there, and so he had asked Zhao Guangyin and Elder Bai about the test a few days ago. He was confident in answering Han Xiaopa and Lin Yi's questions. All right, see you in half an hour at the Bright Cafe in the business district. Han Xiaopa said, no problem, he said. Qibing replied, hanging up the phone. Zhao Qibing said a few words to his grandpa and left the hidden house. Zhao. As for Zhao Qibing going to see Han Xiaopa, his grandpa had no objections. At this time, it was best not to offend Han Xiaopa and Lin Yi at the very least. The hidden house Zhao didn't have the confidence to deal with Lin Yi yet. He didn't know what the hidden house he was thinking, but either way, old Zhao wouldn't go and mess with Lin Yi unless he had the confidence to win. Half an hour later, Zhao Qibing saw Han Xiaopa's Mercedes-Benz S600 at the entrance of the Bright coffee shop in the business district. Zhao Qibing was driving another Porsche Cayenne, which was also a new one. He had given the previous one to Lin Yi. Young Master Pua. Sorry to keep you waiting. Zhao Qibing's appearance was not bad. I've just arrived too. Master Bing, please. Han Xiaopa nodded at him. The two of them entered the cafe, and a waiter came up to them. Although no one here knew the young masters of the Hidden House Han and Hidden House Zhao, they were obviously not ordinary people judging from the Mercedes-Benz and Porsche they were driving. So the waiter didn't dare to neglect them. A private room. Han Xiaopa said to the waiter, all right, please follow me. The waiter arranged a private room for Han Xiaopa and Zhao Qibing. After Han Xiaopa ordered some random things, he passed the menu to Qibing. It's good to be like him. Zhao Qibing didn't come here for coffee. He didn't care what he wanted to drink. The waiter quickly brought the drinks according to their orders. After the waiter left, Han Xiaopa directly said, Master Bing, it's boss who told me to come. Two things. One is about the Sky Elixir sex test, and the other is about Zhao Qikuan. Zhao Qikuan? Zhao Qibing's eyes froze. He didn't expect Han Xiaopa to suddenly ask this question, but he remembered that Zhao Qikuan had already exposed his relationship with Lin Yi, and Lin Yi probably guessed something from his panicked expression when he asked him the question during the car crash. That's right, Master Bing. Do you know where he is now? I wanted to catch up with him, but I couldn't get in touch with him. Han Xiaopa nodded and asked this. Young Master Pur, Chitan's matter involves some of my family's affairs, so I can't make the decision. How about this? I'll go out and give grandfather a call to ask about it. Then I'll give you a reply. Okay? Qibing said after some thought. Sure. Han Xiaopa answered readily. Zhao Qibing nodded gratefully and left the room. He walked to the end of the corridor and quickly dialed his grandfather's number. Qibing, what do you think? He saw Han Xiaopa? What did he want to talk to you about? Old Zhao saw that it was Zhao Qibing calling and quickly picked up. Grandpa, Han Xiaopa asked me about Zhao Qikuan. Qibing said quickly. He said he wanted to talk to Zhao Qikuan but couldn't find him. He asked me where he went. How should I answer? Chapter 23:59. Compared to the stuffy atmosphere in the warehouse, the central air conditioning here was very comfortable, and the waiters in red uniforms were warm and attentive, welcoming every guest. The dealer in green uniform walked back and forth in the casino. It was very lively. The scale of this place surprised Lin Yi. Because of his previous missions, Lin Yi had been to many casinos, but the scale of the casino here was definitely not small. Although it wasn't comparable to casinos like Macau and Las Vegas, it was still one of the best in the underground casinos. 3 distinguished guests, please exchange your chips over here. The man in the black suit gestured, indicating that Lin Yi and the others could exchange their chips at the bar. Okay. Lin Yi nodded and said, thank you. I wish the 3 of you have a good time and a fruitful return. The man in the black suit smiled slightly and went back to his own business. Of course, the fruitful return, he said, was just for show. There were very few people who actually won money in the casino, almost none. Don't exchange too much, just play around, Lin Yi said to Yushu. Oh, then let's exchange for 100,000. Yushu thought about it and said. Lin Yi nodded. Although 100,000 wasn't a small amount, it was really nothing to Meng Yao and Lin Yi. Peng Zhan gave them more than this amount of pocket money every month. Yushu went to the bar to exchange chips and came back with a big pile of chips worth 1,000. She was a little excited. Yao Yao sis, Shield bro, what do you want to play? I don't want to play. Lin Yi knew that gambling was a scam. He had no interest in gambling at all. You play, I'll just watch. I don't know how to play. Meng Yao had never touched these things before. She came here only out of curiosity, no other intentions. Okay. Yushu didn't hold back. She looked around the entertainment facilities on the first floor and said, let's go play slot machines. This is easy and fun. The full name of the slot machine was the slot machine. It was a kind of gambling machine that could often be seen in casinos. There were even entertainment places that specialized in playing corner machines. It was very common. It could be said that almost every casino had this kind of machine. The gameplay was also very simple. You just had to put the pieces, chips, into the machine, and then different patterns would randomly appear. If the time stopped, and if the same or specific patterns appeared, you would win based on the odds. This machine, it was also called the fruit machine or the 777, and was popular among gamblers because of its simplicity. Yushu didn't know much about other machines, and so naturally, she locked onto this machine first. Then let's go take a look. Lin Yi and Meng Yao followed Yushu to a wall full of slot machines. There were a lot of people here, but there were still some empty slots. Yushu found a random machine and started operating it. This thing was easy to learn, and even newbies could play with it. Yushu played with it for a while. After losing a few thousand yuan in chips, she learned how to operate it. Of course, you could also ask the dealer for help, but Yushu preferred to do her own research. Meng Yao was just looking at the novelty, and Lin Yi had nothing to do. He had to admit that the scale of the place was on point, and it didn't look like those simple and crude underground casinos at all. From the number of security guards, the service of the waiters, and the level of professionalism of the dealer, one could tell that the employees in this casino had definitely gone to a proper casino for training. To be able to open a casino like this, the identity of the owner was definitely not simple. He was probably some big boss of Donghai's underworld, but Lin Yi didn't want to cause trouble. When it came to gambling, one was willing to fight, and the other was willing to suffer. As long as they didn't cheat, Lin Yi didn't want to be Spider-Man. Yushu played for a while, and there were wins and losses. But at this time, Yushu's intelligence and ability to discover Shu stood out. She started researching the rules of the slot machines. In fact, as long as it was a computer-controlled gambling machine, there would always be a certain rule, but this rule was something normal people wouldn't be able to discover. Guangyin walked into this dilapidated, old residential area and couldn't help but frown. If it wasn't for his father, he would never come to a place like this. However, he only felt disgust, not guilt at all. Chen Shi and her daughter were like strangers in his eyes, and their life and death had nothing to do with him. The hidden house Zhao was an extremely patriarchal family. This was why Zhao Qibing, an illegitimate son, was able to rise to the top, and Chen Shi was reduced to a furnace for gifts. Knock, knock, knock. Guangyin knocked on the broken security door, and the rotten smell in the corridor filled his heart with disgust. What kind of place was this? Who is it? Mrs. Chun asked curiously. Today was Sunday, and Chen Shi was picking up trash with Grandpa Zhu. There shouldn't be anyone here at this time. It's me. Guang Yin didn't know how to describe his identity, and he could only suppress the disgust in his heart. He pretended to be helpless and smiled bitterly. Little Shi's father. What? Mother Chin's expression froze. Her hand, which was about to open the door, immediately stopped. She was in a daze as she lowered her trembling head to look through the peephole. Through the peephole, she saw a face that made her heart ache, worry, and a little hate. It really was him. Mrs. Chun didn't even know his name, and she didn't know who he was. She only knew that he raped her, gave her a few thousand yuan, and left her alone. After that, she never saw this person again. So even in her dreams, Mrs. Chin never thought that this person would appear in front of her again. Was this a good thing or a bad thing? Although Mrs. Chen was a kind person, when she saw this man appear in front of her house again, after the excitement, there was only vigilance left. How did he find his way here? And after so many years, why did he come here? Most importantly, how did he call out Little Shi's name? One had to know that when she gave birth to Little Shi, this person didn't know. You. What do you want? I don't know you. Mrs. Chun said subconsciously. Open the door. I'm here to talk about Little Shi. Guang Yin thought. Bitch, you're still pretending? You don't know me? If it wasn't for the family's grand plan, do you think I'd want to come to you? Little Shi. What happened to her? Mrs. Chun was shocked, and after hearing that it was about Chen Shi, she stopped doubting Guang Yin's motives and opened the door with a bang. Chapter 2360. The dazed Mother Chen once again saw this face up close, a face that she could never forget. This was the only man she had, and the man she hated the most. The drunken promiscuity brought Chen Shi and her mother so many years of hardship. How difficult was it for a woman to raise a child all by herself? Little Shi. Ah, it's a long story. Zhao Guangyin pretended to sigh helplessly. Today, he was playing the role of a downtrodden man. So even though he drove a Mercedes-Benz, his outfit was extremely shabby. Of course, it was a fake shabby outfit. What's wrong with Little Shi? Tell me. Mother Chan was losing her composure. Chen Shi was her lifeblood. And now that Zhao Guangyin was hesitating, she subconsciously felt that something was wrong. This started when I found Little Shi. Zhao Guangyin began to make up a story. After I found Little Shi, I treated her to a meal to express my apologies for all these years, but I didn't think that my enemy would come looking for me. I owed him money. In the end, he took Little Shi away to pay the debt, saying that a daughter should pay for a father's debt. What? Little Shi was taken away? Mother Chun was stunned, glaring at Zhao Guangyin angrily. At this moment, her worry for her daughter made her dizzy. She forgot to ask Zhao Guangyin how he found Chen Shi and how he found this place. All she could think of was, what should she do? What should she do? Yes, there's no other way. I can only discuss it with you. Zhao Guangyin didn't want to say another word. Seeing Mother Chin's shock, he was overjoyed. If Mother Chin wasn't afraid or didn't believe him, he would have to make up a bunch of nonsense to explain. That would be really troublesome, but he didn't expect Mother Chun to be so gullible. Then what should we do? You bastard. Why are you looking for Little Shi? It's been so many years, and you haven't come to see us. Why are you looking for Little Shi now? Aren't you harming her? Mother Chun was very agitated. Why does your enemy want to capture Xiao Shi? This sigh. I was just thinking that since we haven't seen each other for so many years, I should make it up to Little Shi. Who would have thought that my enemy would come? Guangyin said bitterly. He brought Little Shi to the casino in the commercial district of Donghai City. I heard that he wanted to curry favor with the Southeast Asian gambling king, Park Ho-ti, and was prepared to give Little Shi to him. I couldn't stop him. Sigh. It's all my fault. What? Mother Chun was dumbfounded. What Southeast Asian gambling king? What casino? This made her feel that it was very far away from her life. It had nothing to do with her at all. As for the Southeast Asian gambling king, since he was called the gambling king, he must be a powerful and wealthy person. She was just a weak woman. How could she compete with him? She really hated Zhao Guangyin to death. Of all times, he had to come at this time. It was simply a disaster for her and her daughter. At this time, Boss Shu pushed the door open and ran in, shouting, "Not good, not good, Xiao Qin. Chun Shi was taken away." Boss Zhu's appearance was naturally arranged to make Mother Chun believe it was true. If only Boss Zhu appeared, perhaps Mother Chun wouldn't believe it so easily. After all, how could a little girl who picked up trash be taken away? However, Zhao Guangyin's appearance was different. Once he appeared, Mother Chen's mind was in a mess. Then, he threw out the bomb that she had been kidnapped, which made Mother Chen even more confused. She didn't have the time to think about whether this matter was true or not, especially when Boss Zhu appeared at the right time. It confirmed Zhao Guangyin's words. Mother Chen was already at a loss, and now Boss Zhu appeared and said that Chun-Shi was taken away. Mother Chen was dumbfounded. You're here too? You bastard. Didn't you say you're Chun-Shi's father? Are you going to treat her to a meal and tell her something? Why did I see her being taken away? Boss Zhu didn't expect Zhao Guangyin to be here. When he saw Zhao Guangyin, he immediately pointed at him and cursed. This. Zhao Guangyin laughed in his heart. Boss Zhu's acting was quite good. You? The situation is urgent now. I secretly followed those people for a while, and I heard that they wanted to use Chun-Shi as a bet to please the king of gambling, Pak Ho-Ti. Chun, quickly think of a way. Don't let those beasts ruin Chun-Shi. Boss Zhu said anxiously. Boss Zhu, what should we do? Mother Chen asked in panic. Now, we can only think of a way to ask someone to help us. Boss Zhu began to set up a trap, ready to lead Mother Chen into the trap. I'm just a weak woman. I don't know anyone. How can I compare with those rich and powerful gambling kings? Who can we find to save Chun-Shi? Mother Chen said helplessly. Right, I remember someone. He must have a way. Boss Zhu slapped his thigh as if he remembered something important. Who? Zhao Guangyin and Mother Chen asked at the same time. Lin Yi. Boss Zhu finally said the name that he had been waiting for a long time. Lin Yi? Can he help? Mother Chen was desperate. When she heard Boss Zhu mention Lin Yi, she subconsciously thought that Lin Yi might be able to help. After all, Lin Yi had helped their family a lot. Maybe he really had a way. Chun-Shi said that Lin Yi had a lot of connections in Songshan. He even knew people from Pengzhan Industries, so he must have a way. So in her panic, Mother Chen didn't have time to think carefully. She picked up the phone and dialed Lin Yi's number. Lin Yi held the phone in his hand as he recalled what Mrs. Chen had said. It was a bit confusing, but Lin Yi understood it all. Chun-Shi had been kidnapped, brought to the casino he was in, and someone was using her as a wager against Southeast Asia's king of gamblers, Pak Ho-Ti. Or, to please Pak Ho-Ti, this person took the initiative to give Chun-Shi to Pak Ho-Ti, although Mother Chen's explanation was full of loopholes in Lin Yi's eyes. Something about Chun-Shi's father who hadn't seen for years appearing and taking Chun-Shi away, or her father's enemies appearing and taking Chun-Shi away, then Chun-Shi's father came looking for her. This series of actions was indescribably strange. Where did Chun-Shi's father find Chun-Shi? How did he know where Mother Chen lived? Why did Chun-Shi eat with a stranger? The most amazing thing was that Boss Zhu, an Earth-class early-phase master, could only watch as Chun-Shi was taken away and even came back to testify. Chapter 2361. Mother Chen once again saw this face up close, a face she could never forget. This was the only man she had, and the man she hated the most. The drunken promiscuity brought Chun-Shi and her mother so many years of hardship. How difficult was it for a woman to raise a child all by herself? Little Shi. Sigh. It's a long story. Zhao Guangyin pretended to sigh helplessly. Today, he was playing the role of a downtrodden man. So even though he drove a Mercedes-Benz, his outfit was extremely shabby. Of course, it was a fake shabby outfit. What happened to little Shi? Tell me. Mother Chen was a little uneasy. Chun-Shi was her lifeblood, and now that Zhao Guangyin was hesitating, she subconsciously felt that something was wrong. This started when I found little Shi. Zhao Guangyin began to make up a story. After I found little Shi, I treated her to a meal to express my apologies for all these years, but I didn't think that my enemy would come looking for me. I owed him money. In the end, he directly took little Shi away to pay the debt, saying that a daughter should pay for a father's debt. What? Little Shi was taken away? Mother Chen was stunned, and she glared at Zhao Guangyin angrily. At this moment, her worry for her daughter made her dizzy. She forgot to ask how Zhao Guangyin found Chen Shi and how he found this place. All she could think of was, what should I do? What should I do? Yes, there's no other way. I can only come and discuss it with you. Zhao Guangyin didn't want to say another word, and now that he saw Mother Chen's shock, he was immediately overjoyed. If Mother Chen wasn't afraid or didn't believe him, he would have to make up a bunch of nonsense to explain. That would be really troublesome, but he didn't expect Mother Chen to be so gullible, believing him so quickly. Then what should I do? You bastard. Why are you looking for little Shi? It's been so many years, you haven't come to see us. Why are you looking for little Shi now? Aren't you harming her? Mother Chen was very agitated. Why does your enemy want to capture Xiao Shi? This sigh. I was just thinking that since we haven't seen each other for so many years, I should make it up to little Shi. Who would have thought that my enemy would come? Guangyin said bitterly. He brought little Shi to the casino in the commercial district of Donghai City. I heard that he wanted to curry favor with the Southeast Asian gambling king, Park Ho-ti, and was prepared to give little Shi to him. I couldn't stop him. Sigh. It's all my fault. What? Mother Chen was dumbfounded. What Southeast Asian gambling king? What casino? This made her feel that it was very far away from her life. It had nothing to do with her at all. As for the Southeast Asian gambling king, since he was called the gambling king, he must be a powerful and wealthy person. She was just a weak woman. How could she compete with him? She really hated Zhao Guangyin to death. Of all times, he had to come at this time. It was simply a disaster for her and her daughter. At this time, Boss Zhu pushed the door open and ran in, shouting, "Not good, not good, Xiao Qin. Chen Shi was taken away." Boss Zhu's appearance was naturally arranged to make Mother Chen believe it was true. If only Boss Zhu appeared, perhaps Mother Chen wouldn't believe it so easily. After all, how could a little girl who picked up trash be taken away? However, Zhao Guangyin's appearance was different. Once he appeared, Mother Chen's mind was in a mess. Then, he threw out the bomb that She had been kidnapped, which made Mother Chen even more confused. She didn't have the time to think about whether this was true or not, especially when Boss Zhu appeared at the right time. It confirmed Zhao Guangyin's words. Mother Chen was already at a loss, and now Boss Zhu appeared and said that Chen Shi was taken away. Mother Chen was dumbfounded. You're here too? You bastard. Didn't you say you're Chen Shi's father? Are you going to treat her to a meal and tell her something? Why did I see her being taken away? Boss Zhu didn't expect Zhao Guangyin to be here. When he saw Zhao Guangyin, he immediately pointed at him and cursed. This. Zhao Guangyin laughed in his heart. Boss Zhu's acting was quite good. You? The situation is urgent now. I secretly followed those people for a while, and I heard that they wanted to use Chen Shi as a bet to please the king of gambling, Pak Ho-ti. Chen, quickly think of a way. Don't let those beasts ruin Chen Shi. Boss Zhu said anxiously. Boss Zhu, what should we do? Mother Chen asked in panic. Now, we can only think of a way to ask someone to help us. Boss Zhu began to set up a trap, ready to lead Mother Chen into the trap. I'm just a weak woman. I don't know anyone. How can I compare with those rich and powerful gambling kings? Who can we find to save Chen Shi? Mother Chen said helplessly. Right, I remember someone. He must have a way. Boss Zhu slapped his thigh as if he remembered something important. Who? Zhao Guangyin and Mother Chen asked at the same time. Lin Yi. Boss Zhu finally said the name that he had been waiting for a long time. Lin Yi? Can he help? Mother Chen was desperate. When she heard Boss Zhu mention Lin Yi, she subconsciously thought that Lin Yi might be able to help. After all, Lin Yi had helped their family a lot. Maybe he really had a way. Chen Shi said that Lin Yi had a lot of connections in Songshan. He even knew people from Pengzhan Industries, so he must have a way. So in her panic, Mother Chen didn't have time to think carefully. She picked up the phone and dialed Lin Yi's number. Lin Yi held the phone in his hand as he recalled what Mrs. Chen had said. It was a bit confusing, but Lin Yi understood it all. Chen Shi had been kidnapped, brought to the casino he was in, and someone was using her as a wager against Southeast Asia's king of gamblers, Park Ho-ti. In other words, this person wanted to please Pak Ho-ti and took the initiative to give Chen Shi to Pak Ho-ti, although Mother Chen's explanation was full of loopholes in Lin Yi's eyes. Chunxi's father that she hadn't seen for many years appeared and took Chunxi away, or Chunxi's father's enemy appeared and took Chunxi away, then Chunxi's father came looking for her. Chapter 2362. It didn't make sense at all. If Linny didn't know that Boss Zhu was an Earth class early phase, then so be it. Boss Zhu was clearly a master, and something like this had happened. There was only one possibility: Boss Zhu was hiding something, and this might have something to do with him. But all of this wasn't important anymore, because no matter what, Linny had to save Chunxi. He knew that this was a trap set up by Boss Zhu, but Linny had no choice but to jump in. He couldn't just watch someone die. If something happened to Chunxi, not only would it be hard to explain to Ziyu, but it would also be hard to explain to Xiao Xiao. After all, this was the girl that Xiao Xiao decided to help. If Xiao Xiao left, and Linny didn't take good care of her, Xiao Xiao would be unhappy when she came back. There was no other way. Linny had to go meet that Pu Ho Ti. Shu, Yao Yao, you guys stay here and play. I have something to do. I need to go to the second floor, Linny said to the two. All right, Shield Bro, go do what you need to do. Yushu was having fun, and she basically figured out the rules of the slot machine. She could win at least 2 or 3 times out of 10, but it was a level where she didn't lose anything. Linny nodded. The security here was quite strong, and as long as Ming Yao and Yushu didn't cause trouble, there shouldn't be any problems. After all, the people who came here were all rich people, and if the security wasn't good, who would come here again? Yao Yao, keep an eye on Shu. Don't let her cause trouble. She can play by herself. Lin Yi told Ming Yao. I know, don't worry. The miss was a sensible person, and naturally, she wouldn't let Shu cause trouble. With that, Lin Yi walked to the second floor of the casino. The first floor was for the public, and it was very normal. The second floor, on the other hand, was for 5-card stud bets, and the entry chips were 1 million. Mrs. Chin, under Boss Zhu's guidance, knew that Chunxi was in the second floor, and even knew the room number. There were many problems, but Mrs. Chun was panicking and didn't pay attention to these details. Linny, on the other hand, was different. This was most likely Boss Zhu's doing. Good day, mister. This is the VIP section upstairs. You'll need to show your membership card or exchange 1 million in chips. Linny was about to go downstairs when 2 waiters stopped him, saying politely, I'll go find someone. Linny said. He was going to exchange his chips directly, but he suddenly remembered that if this was Boss Zhu's doing, there had to be something fishy going on. Boss Zhu would want him to get there as soon as possible. If he was stuck in the matter of the chips, it might not be what Boss Zhu wanted to see. So Linny intended to test it. Looking for someone? The waiters were slightly surprised and then asked, Sir, who are you looking for? The number 1 room, the gambling king, Pu Hua Ti. Linny said, I'm looking for the person who gambled with him. Oh? The waiters who asked the question were slightly surprised. Just when he wanted to say something, the other waiters interrupted him and directly gestured to Linny. Sir, please go downstairs. Linny sneered in his heart. Sure enough, someone must have told this waiter. Otherwise, this waiter wouldn't go against the casino's choice. First, he didn't want the membership card, and second, he didn't let Linny buy chips. He directly asked Linny to go downstairs. Although in the casino, the members could bring people to the second floor, but it must be in the presence of the members. In a situation like Lin Yi's, it was normally not allowed, but this waiter did it. Hee. Linny smiled slightly, took the escalator downstairs, and went straight to the number 1 room. The gambling king of Southeast Asia, naturally, deserved the treatment of the sky's first room. However, Linny was stopped by someone at the door. Who are you? What are you doing? A man in black stretched out his arm coldly and blocked Lin Yi's path. This person was just an ordinary bodyguard, not even a golden class master. Linny naturally wouldn't put him in his eyes. But before Lin Yi could reply, another man in a white suit said to the man in black, You must be Gambling Bro's friend. Please come in. Lin Yi's eyes narrowed. A master at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class was just a bodyguard? And he purposely said that he was Gambling Bro's friend to confuse right and wrong. Did he really think that Linny didn't know the problem here? Moreover, his words clearly indicated that he was waiting for Lin Yi to come. It wasn't a coincidence that Chunshi was kidnapped by her enemy like Mother Chen said. Indeed, Linny was already at the door. Zhao Guangyin's people didn't need to hide anything anymore. From his point of view, since Linny was here, then he was a dead man. A superhuman and an Earth-class late-phase peak would definitely be able to make Linny stay here. This was also Zhao Guangyin's intention. Since Linny was here, then there was no need to pretend anymore. His act was to fool Mother Chen, and Zhao Guangyin knew that he couldn't fool Lin Yi. "Oh, thank you." Lin Yi patted the shoulder of the master at the peak of the late-phase peak of the mystic class. It looked like he was thanking him, but he was actually activating the first form of the fiery 8 trigrams palm. And so, this pitiful master at the peak of the late-phase peak of the mystic class, Zhao Qisan, died without even being able to resist, because he never would have thought that Lin Yi would attack him without a sound, and it was a killing move. He died with his eyes wide open. The black-clothed man saw that Lin Yi had killed him. He wanted to say something, but Lin Yi grabbed his neck and easily crushed him to death. Since he was here to cause trouble, Lin Yi didn't need to pretend. Mercy? There was no need to be merciful. Lin Yi didn't like Boss Zhu from the start. If it wasn't for the fact that he wasn't sure which force he belonged to, and that he wasn't his opponent before, Lin Yi would have killed him a long time ago. Of course, the other reason why Lin Yi didn't do anything to him was because Boss Zhu was beside Chen Shi. Although he definitely had ulterior motives, at least he could protect Chen Shi. This was also why Lin Yi kept him alive. But now, was it finally time to make a move? Chapter 2363. Mr. Park. This Gamble Bro was just an attendant in this room, and whether it was in the eyes of Southeast Asia's gambling king or the hidden house Zhao, he was just a small character. Of course, he knew how Lin Yi came in, because the hidden house Zhao had given him a heads-up. Although he didn't dare offend Pu Huati, he didn't dare offend the hidden house Zhao in Donghai City. Brother Gamble could only stammer awkwardly as he did not know how to explain. "Where's Chen Shi?" Lin Yi looked at the two people who had a surprised look in their eyes. These two were probably in cahoots with the Mystic Late Phase Peak. One of them was Mystic Late Phase Peak, and the other was Earth Class Early Phase. Their expressions proved that they were waiting for him. Chen Shi? She already lost to Southeast Asia's gambling king, Mr. Pu Huati. The Earth Class Early Phase smiled and said to Lin Yi, "There's nothing for us to do here. We're leaving. Mr. Park, enjoy yourself." Lin Yi, on the other hand, turned his attention to Pu Huati and the man in black behind him. Pu Huati. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. He was a practitioner, but Lin Yi couldn't see through his strength. He didn't know what level he was at. This was the first time Lin Yi's golden finger had malfunctioned like this. Even when he was facing the Sky Class from the Ice Palace, or even the Masters from the Tagan family, it never failed. But this time, it failed on a Southeast Asia gambling king. This person was indeed a spiritual practitioner, but Lin Yi couldn't see through his level. But the man in black behind him, Lin Yi could clearly see through his strength. He was an Earth-class late-phase peak spiritual practitioner. Lin Yi frowned and understood that these two were strong opponents. If they really fought, it would be very troublesome. And Lin Yi could basically conclude that Chen Shi didn't have much of a relationship with these two. Chen Shi and these two people actually didn't have much of a relationship. These two people getting involved was completely a trap set up by Boss Zhu. Therefore, after some consideration, Lin Yi decided not to directly deal with Pu Huati and the bodyguards behind him. Instead, he targeted the two problematic people here. "Who is the master behind you? Who told you to bring Chen Shi here as a stake?" Lin Yi asked lightly, "Speak, or die." This Earth rank expert was called Zhao Guangliu. Chen Shi wasn't in the room. After Lin Yi arrived, he would definitely look for Chen Shi. Now that Chen Shi belonged to Pu Huati, if Lin Yi wanted to make a move, it would be against Pu Huati. He didn't expect Lin Yi to target him the moment he entered the room. Of course, if Lin Yi didn't know that there was something wrong with Elder Zhu and only thought of them as enemies of Chen Shi's father, perhaps Lin Yi really wouldn't care about them. But he let them go. After all, Lin Yi's main goal here was to find Chen Shi. But Lin Yi knew that these people had something to do with Boss Zhu. Naturally, he wouldn't let them go. As for Pu Huati, he was someone that Linny didn't care much about. Chun Shi is in the room. She belongs to Mr. Pu now. It has nothing to do with us. Chun Shi's father gave her to us. Don't look for us. Guangliu was a little scared. He knew that Lin Yi had crippled Elder Bai in one move, so he didn't think that he could fight against Lin Yi. Yeah, we'll leave first if there's nothing else. You want to look for someone, go find Mr. Pu. Let's go to Mr. Pu. Another mystic late phase, Peak Zhao Qixi said. What's the relationship between you and Boss Zhu? Lin Yi didn't answer the two. What Boss Zhu? We don't know each other. Guangliu was about to turn and leave the room. He didn't want to argue with Lin Yi. The longer they stayed here, the more dangerous it would be. Zhao Qixi had the same thought. This was a fight between Lin Yi and Pu Huati, so they should leave as soon as possible. Since you don't want to talk, then stay. Lin Yi didn't want to waste any more time with them. They were just small fries. If they didn't want to talk, then so be it. The problem still needed to be solved by Boss Zhu. The next moment, Lin Yi moved. It was still the first form of the Fire 8 trigrams palm, and Qixi died without a chance to fight back. He didn't even resist, didn't even struggle. He died just like that. In Lin Yi's eyes, killing a mystic late phase peak was as easy as killing a chicken. Guangliu wanted to say something, but Lin Yi used another maniac 8 trigram palm, and Guangliu died with his eyes wide open. The two of them couldn't understand why Lin Yi didn't go to Pu Huati for Chen Shi, but killed them first. According to their assumptions, Lin Yi would be in a hurry to find Chen Shi, and as the third party who lost Chen Shi to Pu Huati, it should be easy for them to get away from this. But reality and ideals were different. Lin Yi didn't give them a chance to explain it all. He killed them with lightning speed. Of course, the reason why Lin Yi was so ruthless was because Boshu had bitten Chen Shi with a poisonous snake. So Lin Yi didn't have a single good impression of Boss Zhu and his men. But most importantly, Lin Yi was killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Because Lin Yi had a cheat, he could see the strength of Pu Huati's bodyguards. And because of this cheat, Lin Yi felt that Pu Huati would be hard to deal with, so he didn't want to be his enemy if he could. So, Boss Zhu's men didn't die in vain. They thought that Lin Yi would have a conflict with the gambling king of Southeast Asia, Pu Huati, but Lin Yi didn't. Even Zhao Guangyin and Old Man Zhao thought that Lin Yi would directly make a move on Pu Huati. Under normal circumstances, what kind of strength could a gambling king have? Even if he had a bodyguard, it couldn't be too strong. Gambling Bro's daughter's bodyguard was only a golden class master, so they thought that Lin Yi wouldn't be afraid of anything. Old Man Zhao also wanted to use this point to make Lin Yi make a move on Pu Huati so that he could kill him with a borrowed knife. But now, the person was killed, but it was just borrowing Lin Yi's knife to kill the hidden Zhao family's people. After getting rid of the two practitioners, Lin Yi acted as if nothing had happened. He turned to look at Pu Huati and smiled. Mr. Pu, where's that girl called Chen Shi? She's my friend. I hope you can let me take her away. Pu Huati frowned and began to guess Lin Yi's true strength. Chapter 2364. A practitioner with this kind of strength was most likely from a hidden house, or from the ancient times. Pu Huati didn't want to provoke these kinds of people, and usually chose to avoid them. It wasn't that Pu Huati was afraid of them, it was just that Pu Huati's roots weren't here. He was the gambling king, and he didn't want to cause trouble. Before he left, his master had told him that there were many hidden masters here, and it was best not to make enemies. But Pu Huati didn't want to make enemies. It was because he couldn't let go of Chen Shi. Pu Huati had a secret. To outsiders, he was seen as a perverted ability user, but he himself knew that he wasn't an ability user, but a demonic cultivator. What he cultivated was different from ordinary cultivators. His master was once the subordinate of a very powerful elder in Miaojiang. That elder was once a demonic cultivator who used to refine venomous insects to achieve the goal of cultivation. However, that elder was killed by someone. His master endured the humiliation and hid for many years. Finally, he found an opportunity to successfully escape to Southeast Asia. He established his own sect and founded a new sect, the Right Miao sect. The people in this sect all practiced a type of goo poison, but the information his master got wasn't very complete, and there were many flaws. Most of the people who practiced this poison died, and only Pu Huati succeeded. But in order for the poison to grow stronger, he needed virgin blood to refine it. So, he wasn't a pervert, but he had a secret that he couldn't tell others. Once this kind of poison was mastered, it would be invulnerable to weapons and fire. Although it wouldn't reach the level of the ancestral Master Elder, it would still be able to reach half of the level. Even so, it was enough to compete with those who mastered the golden cover and iron shirt. And Pu Huati, who had countless women under his belt, immediately saw what was special about Chen Shi. Chen Shi wasn't an ordinary girl, but a first-rate cultivation cauldron. This type of cauldron wasn't like those ordinary girls who only had an effect when they slept together for the first time. Chen Shi could provide endless help to Pu Huati's cultivation. So, even if it meant offending Lin Yi, Pu Huati had to get Chen Shi. Even if he had to hide in Southeast Asia and never come out, he wouldn't let go of this golden opportunity. Of course, his superficial identity as a mutant was also a disguise to cover up his true identity as a demonic cultivator. As for his identity as the gambling king, it was just a disguise. It was just to make it easier for him to find some girls that he treated as cultivation resources. In fact, the reason why he could become the gambling king was very simple. He could control a type of insect called the eye and ear insect. Although this insect was very difficult to refine and only his master could refine it, Pu Huati was able to use it. The so-called eye and ear goo was a type of goo that could fly. It was very small in size and would fly in the air. It was distributed in a radius of 10 meters, or even a few hundred meters around Pu Huati. These flying insects were Pu Huati's eyes and ears. Whatever the flying insects saw and heard, they would be transmitted to Pu Huati. Therefore, Pu Huati could become the gambling king because of these goo insects called eye and ear goo. As for the ability, it was just an excuse. But Pu Huati didn't refute the rumor. False could be true, sometimes true could be false. Anyway, it was true and false. As long as he used his identity as the gambling king to continuously find girls to refine his demonic cultivation, it would be fine. I don't care who you are. The casino has the rules of the casino. She is already my trophy. I won't let anyone take her away. Pu Huati quickly made a decision and said faintly, please. Lin Yi frowned. He didn't expect that Pu Huati wouldn't give him face even after he killed 2 people. It seemed like he had something to rely on. Because in Lin Yi's opinion, a person who was lustful wouldn't be this desperate. Fighting against a powerful enemy for an ordinary girl wasn't a worthwhile thing. As the gambling king of Southeast Asia, what kind of girl couldn't he find? Was there one more? Mr. Pu, I don't want to be your enemy. But if you insist on going against me, then I can only use force. Lin Yi's voice became cold. What Pu Huati usually did had nothing to do with Lin Yi. But today, he wanted to take Chen Shi away by force. Lin Yi could only take action. Go against me? Do you think you're worthy? Pu Huati smiled coldly. An Earth class early phase and a Mystic class late phase peak. 2 ants were killed by you. Do you think that's amazing? Or do you think that you're trying to give me a show of strength? Lin Yi's eyes narrowed. He didn't think that Pu Huati would say something like this after he'd shown his strength. The only possibility was that Pu Huati was very strong. Or, he was relying on the Earth class late phase peak next to him. From the beginning until now, Lin Yi had killed an Earth class early phase and a Mystic class late phase peak. But Lin Yi's strength was that of an Earth class mid phase. This was probably why Pu Huati was so fearless. If we don't get along, then let's fight. Lin Yi felt a surge of heroism. The black-clothed bodyguard behind Pu Huati was clearly not a normal Earth class late phase peak. His strength was there, but his chi waves were far stronger than Elder Bai's. He was even stronger than the Earth class late phase peak 5 guardians. This person was a strong opponent. If Lin Yi were to fight him, it wouldn't be easy for him. So when Lin Yi said that, he also sent a message to Elder Pai and the others. Lin Yi had been using this phone for a long time, and he was very familiar with the controls. He didn't need to look at the screen at all. This was the most basic skill Lin Yi had when he was an assassin. Pu Laolu, go kill him. Pu Huati frowned, not wanting to talk to Lin Yi anymore.
Yes.
When the black-clothed bodyguard behind Pu Huati heard Pu Huati's words, he immediately moved. At this moment, Before the battle even started, the incomparably domineering aura in his body exploded out, reaching its peak. Following that, Pu Lao's body pressed down on Lin Yi, his right claw turning light red as well. Lin Yi didn't know what technique it was, but Pu Laolu grabbed at Lin Yi. Suddenly, a wave of pure energy surged towards Lin Yi, and the strong and domineering pressure made Lin Yi's breath catch in his throat. Chapter 2365. Hu. Fiery 8 trigrams palm. Fifth form. Lin Yi didn't dare to be careless. He quickly circulated his qi and activated his strongest martial technique. In an instant, red flames accompanied Lin Yi's palms as they flew towards Park Ol-6. Hiss. Park Hwa-Ti was fine as he watched the fight between Lin Yi and Park Ol-6 expressionlessly. But Gamble Bro, on the other hand, took in a breath of cold air. He was starting to feel uneasy. He was only a peak late-phase golden class master, but when Lin Yi and Park Ol-6 used their martial techniques, the formless heat in the air was unbearable for him. This was what it meant when the gods fought. The little devil suffered. When Lin Yi killed the two hidden masters from House Zhao, Gamble Bro didn't think much of it. But when Lin Yi used his strongest technique, in this small room, Gamble Bro couldn't take the pressure anymore. Mr. Park, can I leave first? Gamble Bro looked at Park Hwa-Ti carefully. Park Hwa-Ti snorted. His attention was on Lin Yi and Park Ol-6, and he didn't pay attention to Gamble Bro at all. As for whether Gamble Bro left or not, it didn't matter to him. He was just a small character. After hearing Park Hwa-Ti's permission, Gamble Bro felt as if he had been pardoned. He quickly ran out of the room, but as soon as he stepped out, he saw the two corpses at the door. He shivered and didn't dare to stay any longer. In his opinion, no matter who won or lost, Brother Gamble couldn't afford to provoke them. Therefore, it was better for him to leave first. Seeing Lin Yi's technique, Pu Lao's eyes flashed with a hint of disbelief. Perhaps he didn't think that Lin Yi, a mid-earth class warrior, would be able to use the 11th technique. It was a technique that only a sky class warrior could use. Could it be that he was hiding his strength? Pu Lao's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't think it was possible. Lin Yi's true qi was clearly at the mid-earth class level. Once he activated the 11th technique, he wouldn't be able to hide his true strength anymore. But the situation in front of him was very strange. Lin Yi had indeed used the strength of an earth-class middle stage to activate the 11th martial technique that only a heaven-class early-stage master could use. This was simply unimaginable. However, even so, Pu Lao's heart was only shocked for a moment. He wasn't afraid, because his martial technique was also a high-grade martial technique. It wasn't the low-grade martial techniques of ordinary hidden families. Now that he had mastered the 10th technique of the sky-splitting claw, he didn't need to be afraid of Lin Yi's fiery 8 trigrams palm's 5th technique. Even though this 5th technique had the power of the 11th technique, the distance between the two wasn't far to begin with. In the blink of an eye, the distance between the two became smaller and smaller. Lin Yi's palms faced Pu Lao's sky-splitting claw. This situation made Pu Laolu a little puzzled. Normally, martial techniques were used with one hand. Could Lin Yi use both hands? This fellow was not just any ordinary kind of strange. In theory, it was not easy to be able to use a martial skill with one hand. Unless it was a martial skill that required both hands to use at the same time, then it could be used with both hands. However, most martial skills were only used with one hand. Only those special people who had studied martial skills thoroughly could use both hands at the same time. Of course, although both hands could be used at the same time, it was only the same type of martial technique. The power would only increase by a little. It couldn't be doubled. So Pu Laolu wasn't very afraid. He only had a strong desire to fight. It had been a long time since he met a true opponent. As a mystic late-phase peak, it wasn't strange for him to fight a heaven-class early-stage master. But when he saw Lin Yi, his eyes flashed with excitement, because he knew that Lin Yi was someone like him, someone who could fight a higher-level opponent. Wasn't Lin Yi the same? Lin Yi had been stuck at the bottleneck of Earth-class mid-phase for quite a while now. He'd just broken through at the Hidden House Summit, and it didn't seem like a long time, but he'd gone through quite a bit of training during that time, and was only a step away from Earth class mid-phase peak. Leveling up during battle was Lin Yi's ultimate weapon. So this time, although Lin Yi felt that his opponent was troublesome, he still made his move. But Lin Yi had a backup plan. Old Pai came to help. A palm and a claw violently collided with each other. A dull sound of impact suddenly rang out from the point of contact between the fist and the claw. With this point as the origin, a raging wave of true energy rippled out rapidly in all directions. But Pu Huatiai's face didn't change as he sat in front of the gambling table. He wasn't affected at all by the chi from the fight. It was as if all of this had nothing to do with him. In reality, this really had nothing to do with Pu Huati. He trained in a type of King Kong goo poison. Although he hadn't mastered it yet, this level of chi didn't affect him at all. Boom! Lin Yi's other palm landed on Pu Laoyu's chest. It made a muffled sound, but Pu Laolu didn't seem to be hurt at all. His body shook slightly, and he took on Lin Yi's fiery 8-trigram palm head-on. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was injured by the chi from Pu Huatiai's unknown skill. Lin Yi took a few steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood, a cultivator of both internal and external strength. Lin Yi looked at Pu Laolu in disbelief. He didn't expect Pu Laolu to be a cultivator of both internal and external strength, and it seemed like his external strength training focused on defense, similar to the Golden Clock faction's defensive skills. Smart. Pu Laolu was hit by the fifth form of the Fire 8-trigram palm as well, but he was a practitioner of both internal and external disciplines. The clash of pure chi did cause some damage to him, but his meridians and organs weren't damaged at all. He was only shaken up a little. Does your external martial arts have a high defensive attribute? After falling to the ground, Lin Yi didn't rush to get up. Instead, he quickly used the art of dragon mastery to heal his internal injuries. He was just stalling for time. Not bad. Pu Laolu nodded. You're also the first low-level cultivator to survive under my hands. Chapter 2366. You are indeed strong. Lin Yi did not deny it. But I will not give up. Stupid. Pu Laolu sneered. Fine, I didn't want to kill you. But since you want to ruin Mr. Park's plan, I can only send you to hell. Lin Yi's expression changed slightly. His opponent's strength was almost a notch higher than his. If he still had the Vulcan bullets, Lin Yi would have 100% chance of winning. Unfortunately, he had used 2 Vulcan bullets on the guard and 1 on Tagan Dragon. Now, he could only fight head-on. Although a head-on collision was the most disadvantageous way for Lin Yi had no other choice. Mystic class was a competition of strength, while Earth class was a competition of the strength of martial arts. Only Sky class masters could infuse their true chi into their weapons, and at Earth class, using weapons would be a burden. Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm, 5th form. Lin Yi once again activated the Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm, but this time, Lin Yi's target was Pu Laoyu's head. He was looking for a weakness, hoping that his head would be his weakness. However, the disdain in Pu Laoyu's eyes made Lin Yi understand that his head was not a weakness. This person was the same as Ma Zhu, a physical practitioner with high defense. It was not easy to find a weakness from head to toe, especially since this person had practiced internal martial arts and became a master of internal martial arts that could attack. It was even more difficult to deal with. So, in an instant, Lin Yi made a decision. As the saying goes, to capture all the followers, one must first capture the ringleader. Lin Yi might as well not attack Pu Laolu. Since his attacks were useless, he might as well leave his back for him to attack. Meanwhile, Lin Yi shifted his target to Pu Huati. Suddenly, Lin Yi's attack on Park OL-6 made an inconceivable turn in the air, and both of his palms suddenly attacked Park Ho-Ti, who was sitting beside the gambling table. When Lin Yi was an assassin, he had learned a kind of footwork. When he used it, he was faster than ordinary cultivators. This footwork could also make some seemingly unimaginable moves, such as now. Neither Park OL-6 nor Park Ho-Ti expected Lin Yi to suddenly turn around and target Park Ho-Ti. Boom, boom, bang. Lin Yi's palms accurately landed on Pu Huatiai's chest, and Park Old 6 Heaven, splitting earth, splitting claw that was flickering with fiery red true energy, also grabbed onto Lin Yi's back. At the same time that Lin Yi hit Park Ho Ti, he was also hit by Park OL 6. A mouthful of blood sprayed on the gambling table, dyeing the poker cards red. However, what made Lin Yi feel inconceivable was that Park Ho Ti did not dodge or dodge. Instead, he took on Lin Yi's move with an indifferent expression on his face. Because of Lin Yi's speed, Park Ho Ti definitely could not dodge. Even if he was an early-stage Heaven Stage expert, he would definitely not be able to dodge Lin Yi's sudden change of move. After all, the private room was too small. But even if he could not dodge, it did not mean that he could not dodge and avoid the important parts. However, Park Ho Ti did not dodge. He used his chest to take on the fifth form of Lin Yi's Mad Fire 8 trigram palm. After receiving the move, his expression was still indifferent, as if the person that Lin Yi just hit was not him at all. You are also a physical cultivator? Lin Yi was shocked. A trace of disbelief flashed in his eyes. Park OL 6 was a physical cultivator with high defense. This was already very shocking to Lin Yi, but he did not expect Park Ho Ti to be the same. However, Lin Yi still could not clearly see Park Ho Ti's level of strength. Although Lin Yi's golden finger could not directly see the level of a physical cultivator's strength, when a physical cultivator used an external mental cultivation technique to defend or attack, they would use the surrounding spiritual energy to transform into true qi around their body. At this time, Lin Yi could determine their level of strength. Because of this, when Park OL 6 was defending, Lin Yi knew that he was a physical and external cultivator. However, Park Ho Ti did not. Lin Yi could not even see his level. Lin Yi only had a feeling that he was a cultivator, but he did not know the specifics of what he practiced and what level of strength he had. Park Ho Ti did not answer Lin Yi's question. Instead, he looked at Lin Yi and said, "You are not weak. I do not want to be enemies with the practitioners on your side. Now, turn around and leave. I will not stop you." Although Park Ho Ti was not injured, he could feel that Lin Yi was not an ordinary person. He was only a mid-earth class practitioner, but he was able to raise his martial technique to the 11th form of the Sky class early stage. This was definitely not some random wandering practitioner. Therefore, Park Ho Ti guessed that Lin Yi's background was not that simple. He must have the support of an ancient sect or some other force. Being enemies with him was not a good thing. According to Park Ho Ti's plan, he was prepared to stay in China for a period of time. He would go to various underground casinos and challenge the king of gambling, as well as some arrogant gamblers. This way, he would be able to exchange for the virginity of a few young girls to practice his demonic arts. Because of this, after seeing Lin Yi's strength, he was a bit scared. He did not want to be enemies with Lin Yi. "I also do not want to be enemies with you, but you have captured my friend. I must bring her back, or else I will not rest until I die." Lin Yi did not back down. "Do you really think that I am afraid of you?" Park Ho Ti frowned and said lightly, "I am just a bit afraid of trouble. Since you are so stubborn, then don't blame me for being impolite." Park OL 6, continue. "Kid, Mr. Park will let you live. Don't be so ungrateful." Park OL 6 said coldly, "You can't beat me. Although I have to admit that your martial technique is very powerful, it can only give me a small injury. If you want to hurt me, you can't even use 100 moves." "Oh? So you are saying that I can't do anything to you? No matter how powerful my martial technique is, it will be useless?" Lin Yi asked. "Kid, if I don't tell you, I am afraid that you will not give up. To be honest, my internal and external martial techniques complement each other. In this world, unless it is someone who is a lot stronger than me, such as Sky Class Mid-Stage and above, anyone under Sky Class Mid-Stage and below is not much of a threat to me." Park OL 6 said proudly, "The bane of my external martial techniques is actually my internal martial techniques. Only my internal martial techniques can break through my external martial techniques." Chapter 2367. Lin Yi held back his excitement at the thought, but his face remained expressionless. He didn't think that Old 6 would reveal his secret. Originally, Lin Yi only wanted to get some information out of Pu Laolu to buy some time, then compress a true energy bomb and throw it at him. However, the compressed true energy bomb did not have enough time. Most importantly, if Lin Yi could secretly learn Pu Laolu's martial arts technique, it would be much easier than compressing the true energy bomb. Compressing the true energy bomb was not something that could be completed in a short period of time. You can say that. This martial arts technique was destroyed by me after I obtained it. As far as I know, no one else has it. Pu Laolu said calmly, so, I advise you not to waste your time. The reason why Pu Laolu told Lin Yi the truth was that he did not think that Lin Yi could learn his martial arts technique. Even if Lin Yi could get his hands on his martial arts technique through special means, it would take a long time. Moreover, his martial arts technique was unique. It was impossible for Lin Yi to get his hands on it. In short, he was not afraid that Lin Yi would use this martial arts technique against him. However, he did not expect Lin Yi to steal it. Is that so? Let's try again. Lin Yi said as he activated the fifth style of Frenzy 8 trigram palm and went straight for Pu Laolu. Boom, boom, bang. It was still a head-on collision. Lin Yi ended the battle by retreating. However, Lin Yi's mind was not on the result. Instead, he carefully observed Pu Laolu's method of activating the heaven and earth-splitting claw. Lin Yi didn't know the chant for sky-splitting earth-splitting claw, and there was no way he could ask for it. So, he could only imitate the activation method of sky-splitting earth-splitting claw, just like how he combined Fire Fist and 5-element 8 trigram palms, using Fire Fist's chant and sky-splitting earth-splitting claw's activation method to create a new technique. After landing, Lin Yi did not stand up immediately. Instead, he closed his eyes and repeatedly replayed the method of activating the heaven and earth-splitting claw in his mind. Park Laolu's movements were like a slow-motion movie, playing over and over again in Lin Yi's mind, because of his previous experience of combining the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm and Mu Linsen 8 trigram palm. Lin Yi did not spend too much time combining the new martial arts technique. Moreover, the current situation did not allow him to waste too much time. Brat, are you still not going to give up? Park Laolu asked coldly. Oh. Lin Yi stood up slowly. When he was combining the heaven and earth-splitting claw in his mind, Lin Yi's body was not idle. He had been using the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal his injuries. Therefore, Lin Yi's injuries were much better now. Oh what? Park Laolu was stunned. He did not understand Lin Yi's meaning. It's the fifth form of the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm. Lin Yi used the mantra of the fifth form of the Frenzy Fire Fist and changed the method of activating the heaven and earth-splitting claw. As for the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm, it was just to confuse Park Laolu. You're overestimating yourself? Pu Laolu's eyes flashed with disdain at Lin Yi's move, and he humphed coldly. He didn't attack Lin Yi, however, and just stood there helplessly. His meaning was clear. Fight if you want to, let's see what you can do about it. Park Laolu, be careful. Pu Huati's originally calm face suddenly revealed a trace of disbelief as he suddenly called out to Pu Laolu. Huh. Park Laolu was stunned, but it was too late. Lin Yi's heaven and earth-splitting claw was already on Park Laolu's chest. Pu Laolu's arrogant face suddenly turned pale, and a look of disbelief flashed in his eyes. Then, his face turned gloomy, and his whole body flew backward, smashing into the wall of the private room with a loud bang. A deep pit was formed on the wall of the private room. Park Laolu's injury was not light. From the blackish-purple blood that flowed out from the corner of his mouth, it was obvious that he had suffered a serious internal injury. Lin Yi wasn't too surprised. Although the heaven and earth-splitting claw was successfully activated, its power was far less than the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm. It was only equivalent to the power of the fifth form of the normal Frenzy Fire Fist, which was the sixth form of a normal high-tier martial arts technique. This combination of martial arts did not bring about the effect of the 5 elements 8 trigram palm. However, it was within Lin Yi's expectations. After all, the power of the 5 elements 8 trigram palm was heaven-defying. Park Laolu's heaven and earth-splitting claw could not be said to be outstanding. It was only equivalent to the power of a normal high-tier martial arts technique. Therefore, the power of the combination of Frenzy Fire Fist and Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw was equivalent to the power of the sixth form of a normal martial arts technique. This was not out of Lin Yi's expectations. However, Park Laolu stood there without any defense or attack and let Lin Yi hit him. This was out of Lin Yi's expectations. Isn't this guy a little too arrogant just to make me give up? Therefore, when Park Laolu was caught off guard, Lin Yi's attack landed on his body. Even though it was only the sixth form, the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw seemed to be a martial arts technique that was specifically used to counter Park Laolu. The damage it brought was much greater than the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm. How is this possible? Park Laolu coughed up 4 mouthfuls of blood before he stood up shakily. He could not believe what he saw. How can you activate the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw? Who did you learn it from? Once Lin Yi finished speaking, he did not wait for Park Laolu to regain his footing. He used the fifth form of the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw again. This time, Park Laolu saw Lin Yi's move clearly. Previously, he took it for granted that Lin Yi used the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm, so he did not guard against it at all. It was not until Park Hwa-ti reminded him that he realized something was wrong, but it was too late. But this time, when Lin Yi made his move, he saw it clearly. It was the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw. Although he did not know how Lin Yi learned it, the activation method and movement were exactly the same as his. Moreover, the claw had a red fire attribute True Qi, as if he was the one who activated it. Park Laolu was shocked. Others did not know the extent of the damage that the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw could do to him, but he knew. Even if Lin Yi activated the sixth form, the damage to him was still very great. Park Laolu could be sure that if Lin Yi continued to activate it, he would not be able to last more than 5 moves. The Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw was his nemesis. As the saying goes, everything has its weakness. Chapter 2368. Aren't you teaching me? Once you activate it, I'll learn it. Lin Yi said lightly, thank you for activating it again. I'm even more proficient now. Go to hell. Bang. Bang. Lin Yi hit Park Laolu, and Park Laolu hit Lin Yi. Although Park Laolu's skill seemed to be stronger, the damage he suffered was no less than Lin Yi. Especially when he was caught off guard by the claw just now, it was a huge blow to his body. Moreover, Lin Yi's last sentence made Park Laolu subconsciously reduce the power of the sky-splitting claw. He didn't want Lin Yi to learn it again. Now that it was very similar, wouldn't it kill him to learn it again? Both of them retreated. Lin Yi sat on the ground, and Park Laolu slammed into the wall again. Park Hwa-ti's brows furrowed even more. The way he looked at Lin Yi changed from the initial disdain to the current seriousness. Where did this person come from? Which faction is he from? He can actually imitate other people's skills? Isn't this too heaven-defying? I've never heard of someone with this kind of ability. Park Laolu's eyes were filled with fear at this moment. He no longer had the arrogance from before, only bewilderment. He couldn't believe it. How is this possible? Lin Yi was actually beaten badly, but he didn't show the pain on his face. This was the so-called acting tough behavior of swallowing one's teeth after being beaten. But sometimes, acting tough must be done. When the enemy is confused by you, you win. This is the highest level of acting tough. Lin Yi was recovering, Park Laolu was bewildered, and Park Hwa-ti was frowning, thinking about the pros and cons. Park Hwa-ti originally thought that things should be easy to solve. Lin Yi retreating was the perfect solution, but the situation was completely different now. Lin Yi's 2 consecutive moves had injured Pu Laolu quite badly. If they were to continue fighting, it was hard to say who would emerge victorious. It was very likely that both of them would perish together. But, to let Pu Hwa-ti give up on Chen-shi just like that, he was absolutely unwilling. It wouldn't be easy to find such a good cauldron if he gave it up. There were simply too few women with such an excellent physique who had been specially raised to be a human furnace from a young age. Pu Hwa-ti had seen many talented girls, but because they were past the age limit, they could no longer be cultivated into cultivation furnaces. This was also the reason why he didn't want to give up on Chen-shi and chose to go against Lin Yi. Pu Laolu, finish him quickly. Even if you have to fight him head-on, you have to kill him. That girl is of great use to me. Pu Huati made his decision in an instant. Even if you die, you will die for the glory of the right Miao clan. Your ranking will be enshrined by the right Miao clan. I will also request for your son to be accepted as a disciple when he grows up. At the very least, his status will not be lower than mine. Pu Huati began to make empty promises to Pu Laolu. He had already given up on Pu Laolu. However, these words made Pu Laolu's eyes light up. He had to admit that Pu Huati's promises moved him. He knew that if he and Pu Huati didn't hand over Chen Shi today, Lin Yi wouldn't let the matter rest. But Pu Laolu also knew how important Chen Shi was to Pu Huati, so he knew that the only way was to fight. Kid, you heard it too. If you know what's good for you, leave now and we'll live in peace. If you insist on sticking your neck out, then I'll fight to the death and drag you down with me. Pu Laolu took a deep breath and said to Lin Yi. Of course, he also hoped that Lin Yi would give up and leave. That way, he wouldn't have to die in vain. Although he wasn't afraid of death for the sect, who would want to die if they could? Since I said I won't stop until one of us dies, let's continue. Lin Yi stood up and smiled at Pu Laolu. What if the one who dies in the end is you and not me? No, that's possible. Pu 6 vehemently rejected the idea. I have to admit that your ability to steal and learn from me is impressive. But you can't deny the fact that you're just a mid-earth class. You're just a mid-earth class. It's impossible for a martial skill to unleash the power of the 11th move. If I'm not wrong, it should only be the 6th move. And I'm an earth-class late-phase peak master. My strength and endurance, as well as the power of my martial skills, are far greater. As for you, if we continue like this, you'll be the one to die first. Although, I might also be heavily injured. Oh, what else do you have to say? Lin Yi listened and said faintly, if you're done, let's continue. At this point, Pu Laolu also knew that there was no way he could convince Lin Yi. He could only continue. Heaven-splitting fire claw, 5th form. Lin Yi's injuries and stamina were almost fully recovered. He activated another heaven-splitting fire claw, going straight for Pu Laolu, catching him off guard. He didn't think that Lin Yi would attack just like that, but Pu Laolu was an Earth-class late-phase peak master after all. His reflexes weren't weak either, and he quickly channeled his practitioner's chant. He didn't even use his chi to protect his body. Instead, he poured all of his chi into his technique, activating his strongest technique, Sky-Splitting Claw 10th form. Bam! Bam! 2 loud sounds rang out. The 2 bodies collided and separated, flying in 2 different directions. Pu Laolu was severely injured. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, he panted heavily. Although he had boasted before, only he knew in his heart how much damage the Sky-Splitting Claw had inflicted on him. This martial skill was the nemesis of his external martial arts. Not to mention the fact that Lin Yi had activated the 6th form. As long as he hadn't reached Sky Class, even the 1st form would be enough to kill him. Only when he reached Sky Class would the damage from the 10 forms of Earth Class martial skills be truly negligible. Unfortunately, he wasn't a Sky Class master. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't having a good time either. After spitting out a mouthful of black blood, he gritted his teeth and silently endured it. After landing on the ground, he desperately channeled the 2nd stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal himself. He didn't say anything harsh. He just used all the time he had to heal himself. This kind of feeling made Lin Yi a little scared. If Pu Laolu didn't give Lin Yi any time to recover, then Lin Yi would only be able to take a one-sided beating. Just like when he faced the 5th Guardian, he could only... Chapter 2369. From his point of view, cultivators could only use medicinal pellets to heal themselves. Otherwise, how long would it take for them to recover on their own? His injuries couldn't be healed, so he could only adjust the chaotic chi in his body so that he could fight against Lin Yi with all his might. With that, Lin Yi was able to take advantage of the situation. Otherwise, he'd have to waste another net of heaven and earth to trap old 6. Then, while he couldn't move, he would go to the private room to save Chen Shi. As for Pu Huati, Lin Yi didn't put him in his heart. From Lin Yi's point of view, Pu Huati was just a cultivator with high defense. As for whether it was a spiritual or physical cultivator, Lin Yi wasn't sure. But he definitely didn't have a strong offensive ability. Otherwise, if he and Pu Laolu worked together, even if their offensive ability wasn't that strong, it would still be enough to hold him back. Then, Pu Laolu wouldn't be in such a miserable state. But from the looks of it, it wasn't that he didn't want to, but he really couldn't help. This person only had the ability to protect himself, but he didn't have any offensive ability. Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earth Claw 5th Form. Lin Yi attacked once more after recovering, continuing to fight head-on with Pu Laolu. It wasn't the first time Lin Yi used this sort of head-on fighting style anyways, and he'd mastered the rhythm and technique a long time ago. The black-clothed assassin and the third head of the Red Conches had all died under Lin Yi's hands. Of course, this method of using a lower level to kill a higher level was only used by people like Lin Yi, who had the art of dragon mastery. If it was someone else, they would have died already. But one had to admit that this method was tried and tested, because the enemy wouldn't expect Lin Yi to be able to recover on his own, and at such a fast speed. Bang! Bang! Another two loud sounds. Pu Laolu felt that his internal organs had shifted. Even those that weren't shifted started to bleed. He looked at Lin Yi with a blurry gaze. He regretted telling Lin Yi about his nemesis martial art. But who would have thought that Lin Yi could learn it secretly? Before today, Park Laolu had never dreamed of this. Without the mantra, how could he learn a martial skill in secret? This could only be treated as a joke. But now, it was real. Seeing that Lin Yi had vomited a mouthful of blood, Pu Laolu was secretly pleased. Sure enough, this brat's injuries should be more serious than his. He had already spat out 2 mouthfuls of black blood. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels had already been displaced, and Lin Yi would not be any better off. Park Laolu was even more determined to kill Lin Yi, although it was possible for him to do the same. His meridians were all damaged and his cultivation strength was crippled. However, if he could survive and return to the right Miao clan, he would be able to survive. Then sect leader Kuan would definitely let him cultivate Pu Huati's devil arts. This was because Pu Huati's devil technique was a different kind of cultivation method, which was to refine goo poison. It had nothing to do with normal cultivation. Even a disabled person could cultivate it. Thinking of this, Park Laolu's eyes flashed with passion. Others might not know, but he knew that if Pu Huati's devil technique reached the advanced stage, he would be invulnerable. He would be no different from those who had reached the advanced stage of the Golden Bell Shield and Iron Shirt. Furthermore, he would not have any weak points. He would have to use the female blood to refine it regularly. This was a difficult matter, but it could be solved. In the future, Pu Huati would have the meat and he would have the soup. The effect would be slightly weaker, but it was better than nothing. Brat, I will kill you today even if I have to risk my life. Park Laolu stood up with confidence and looked at Lin Yi. If you want to die, then come at me. Let's see who has the last laugh. Oh, Lin Yi's injuries had mostly recovered. He responded indifferently and stood up. Although his expression was calm, Lin Yi's heart was beating like a drum. Park Laolu's confidence seemed to have been boosted. This wasn't going to be easy to deal with. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi decided to change his strategy. He changed the Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earthclaw to Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earthclaw. Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earthclaw's 5th form was equivalent to the 5th form of a normal high-class technique, but it was better in that he could use 5 forms at the same time. In the beginning, Lin Yi naturally chose Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earthclaw to Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earthclaw. Although the 5th form of Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earthclaw was equivalent to the 5th form of a normal high-class technique, it was better in that he could use 5 forms at the same time. It could be said that if Park Laolu wasn't injured, Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earthclaw would definitely deal more damage to him than Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earthclaw. This was like an early phase Mystic Class Master. If he wasn't injured, then an early phase Golden Class Master would only be able to scratch his itch. If 5 early phase Golden Class Masters were to attack him, then it would be the same. Only a peak late phase Golden Class Master might be able to cause some damage to him. But if this early phase Mystic Class Master was injured, his defense would be greatly reduced. If a late-phase Golden Class Master were to attack him, he would definitely be more heavily injured. But if 5 early-phase Golden Class Masters were to attack him at once, then he might very well die. This was also the reason why Lin Yi chose Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earthclaw in the first place. But now that Park Laolu was injured, Lin Yi naturally switched to Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earthclaw. Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earthclaw, 5th form. Lin Yi yelled as he charged forward, channeling Mu Linsen's Thousand Illusions chant, using the Sky-Splitting Earthclaw's method of activation. He wanted to use the Sky-Splitting Earthclaw's strongest move. But just as Lin Yi was about to use it, Lin Yi was shocked to find that Mu Linsen's Sky-Splitting Earthclaw wasn't activated. Not to mention the 5th form. Even the 1st form's power wasn't activated. In other words, Lin Yi used a useless move. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know what was going on, but he didn't dare to try it again. Without a word, he changed his move and used the 5th form of Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earthclaw at Pu Laolu. Luckily, Lin Yi's reaction was fast, and he was already familiar with this move. There was a pause in the middle, but it didn't affect the overall situation. Old Six didn't understand why Lin Yi had yelled out, Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earth Splitting Claw, but he didn't have the time to think about it. He took a deep breath and charged forward. Since he had chosen to fight to the end, he couldn't compromise no matter what. But the price of not compromising was very heavy. Proportion. Chapter 2370. After this fight, Pu Laolu was on the verge of collapsing. His legs were wobbly, and he had vomited too much blood. He wanted to rest, but he heard Lin Yi say, again. Pu Laolu was speechless. He wanted to yell at Lin Yi, F***CK. Are you a cockroach? Can't you just rest for a bit? You're in Earth class mid-phase. Why aren't you dead yet? Are you even in Earth class mid-phase? In fact, Lin Yi had indeed rested for a while. He needed to heal his wounds. But this period of time seemed long to Lin Yi, but to Pu Laolu, it was very short. His wounds were getting worse and worse, and Lin Yi's wounds were getting worse and worse, but he was still able to hold on. Of course, Lin Yi could tell that if this went on, he would be done for. But before he was done for, Pu Laolu would be done for. As long as he was done for, Lin Yi could rest in peace and heal his wounds. Left with no choice, Pu Laolu could only attack again. But he was already at his limit. He knew that this would be his last attack. If he got hit by Lin Yi again, he wouldn't be able to live. And so, he used up all the chi in his body, wanting to give Lin Yi a killing blow. Sky-Splitting Earthclaw, 10th form. Sky-Splitting Claw, 5th form. Lin Yi really wanted to use the 5th form of Mu Linsen's Sky-Splitting Earth-Splitting Claw, but it had failed. So, Lin Yi didn't dare to try again. What if he failed again? Right now, Lin Yi had lost the confidence he had in his omnipotent martial skill. After all, he had failed to use Spring Rain before. It wasn't surprising that Mu Linsen's Sky-Splitting Claw would fail, but Lin Yi was a little puzzled. He couldn't figure out the reason. Bam! Bam! This attack was indeed fatal to Lin Yi. Lin Yi was injured again. Even though he was healing, he couldn't keep up with his injuries. After being sent flying by Pu Laolu, he landed heavily on the ground. He didn't even have the strength to get up. The reason why Lin Yi was able to fight again was because of his will. That was the only reason why he was able to hold on until now. But Lin Yi smiled. Park Laolu's situation wasn't looking good. Lin Yi was a doctor, and he could easily tell that Park Laolu's life was slipping away. He was going to die soon. So, Lin Yi started to use the art of dragon mastery to heal himself. He didn't even have the strength to sit up. Pu Huati looked at Pu Laolu's body. A complicated look flashed in his eyes. Even though he didn't care about a bodyguard like Pu Laolu, he was someone who had followed him for a long time. This time, he killed Lin Yi. He had to leave. He couldn't fight Zhu Qisho anymore. He was afraid that the power behind Lin Yi would come looking for him. Thinking of this, Pu Huati quickly walked into the private room. He picked up the unconscious Chen Shi and quickly walked out of the private room. He didn't even want Pu Laolu's body. A dead person was like a lamp going out. To him, death was death. When he went back, he would advise his father and master to take good care of his son. That would be enough to make up for this debt. Even though Lin Yi was lying on the ground in the space of the jade pendant to heal himself, he could still sense what was happening outside. Seeing that Pu Huati didn't forget to take Qinshi away at this time, he was shocked and angry. Originally, Lin Yi thought that after he killed Pu Laolu, Pu Huati would definitely choose to retreat and leave with Pu Laoyu's body. But Lin Yi didn't expect that this guy didn't even want Pu Laoyu's body. Instead, he took Qinshi away. This was unbelievable to Lin Yi. This guy can't be this lecherous, can he? In this situation, he still didn't forget to take Qinshi away. What kind of person is this? However, even if Lin Yi wanted to stop him, his injuries were too severe. He couldn't get up at all. Moreover, even if Lin Yi stood up, he might not be able to stop him because Pu Huati was simply invulnerable. If Lin Yi wanted to deal with him, it would be more difficult than Pu Laolu. Pu Laolu Lin Yi could use the Mad Fire Earth-Splitting Claw to deal with him, but Pu Huati was different. This guy wasn't afraid of being hit. Even if Lin Yi hit him, it would be useless. Seeing that Pu Huati was about to walk out of the room, Lin Yi suddenly became anxious. He didn't care about his injuries anymore. He climbed up from the ground and shouted at Pu Huati, "Stop!" Pu Huati was shocked by Lin Yi's roar. Previously, he thought that Lin Yi and Pu Laolu should have perished together. After all, both of them were lying on the ground motionless. Pu Huati subconsciously thought that both of them were dead. How could he have thought that Lin Yi came back to life and stood up again? You didn't die? Pu Huati was shocked. He turned his head and looked at Lin Yi, who was trembling as he stood up. Pu Huati then smiled. You're just a strong arrow. What can you do to me? Although you should have guessed that I don't have any offensive martial skills, you absolutely can't stop me from leaving. Because my defense is very strong. You can't kill me. You didn't die. That's not bad. I'll leave first. See you again. In Pu Huati's view, if Lin Yi didn't die, then the sect behind Lin Yi wouldn't be too angry. He also knew that these big sects in China had some top-quality third-grade dawn. As long as there were dawn, he believed that Lin Yi's recovery was only a matter of time. The sect behind him wouldn't travel all the way to Southeast Asia to find trouble with him. Although Lin Yi was unwilling, he had no choice but to admit that what Pu Huati said was the truth, because at this moment he really could not win against Pu Huati. This person was invulnerable, just like those external martial artists who practiced the golden bell cover and iron skin shirt. If Lin Yi wanted to make him stay, it was impossible without a true chi bomb. However, in Lin Yi's current state, it was already very difficult for him to heal his wounds. How could there be a true chi bomb to deal with him? Therefore, Lin Yi was helpless and anxious, but there was nothing he could do. His injuries hadn't healed yet, so he had to brace himself and fight. Frenzied Flame Heaven, Splitting Earth, Splitting Claw, 5th move. Lin Yi didn't know if the Frenzy Fire Heaven Splitting Earth Claw would be effective against Pu Huati, but he knew that the 5th form of the Frenzy Fire 8 Trigrams Palm didn't cause any damage to Pu Huati, so he could only try the Frenzy Fire Heaven Splitting Earth Claw. When Pu Huati saw that Lin Yi still dared to attack, he was instantly angered. He frowned and activated some unknown cultivation technique. You won't repent until you see the coffin. The fastest update, please bookmark. Chapter 2371. Bam! Lin Yi sensed that something was amiss as Pu Huati seemed to be using some unknown practitioner's arts, but it didn't look like one either. It was like he was activating something, and his skin glowed with a metallic light. Lin Yi's Heaven Splitting Earth Splitting Claw hit Pu Huati's body, but it was as if he'd hit a piece of metal. The recoil was so painful that Lin Yi's claw felt like it was about to break. Plus, he'd used up every last bit of strength he had in that claw attack, and it hadn't hurt Pu Huati in the slightest. Lin Yi couldn't stop Pu Huati from leaving anymore. Lin Yi's head was spinning, and he was about to faint from being forced into the jade space. But at that moment, the door was pushed open, and Elder Pai came charging in with Pai Jishan, Pai Jihai, Wu Chintian, and Wu Gonggao. Leave him, Lin Yi said as he looked at the 5 people who had barged into the room. His heart was filled with comfort as he fainted. Elder Pai, Pai Jishan, Pai Jihai, Wu Chintian, and Wu Gongao were shocked when they saw Lin Yi faint. But they didn't go check on Lin Yi's injuries, instead activating their strongest skills at the same time, attacking Pu Huati. 11th form of Heaven and Earth Fist. Elder Pai roared, sending a punch at Pu Huati. First form of Heaven and Earth Fist. Jishan, Chintian, and Gongao all used the first form of Heaven and Earth Fist they'd been practicing for the past 2 days. Second form of Heaven and Earth Fist. Jihai, on the other hand, could use the second form of Heaven and Earth Fist. They used their strongest moves right from the get-go, and they saw that Lin Yi had fainted. Naturally, they wouldn't hold back anymore. Lin Yi's order was to keep this guy here, so they had to go all out. Pu Huati didn't expect that Lin Yi's helpers would come, and there were even 5 of them. However, he wasn't nervous. He didn't believe that ordinary cultivators could do anything to him, so he continued to activate the demonic goo poison, making his body invulnerable. Bang! 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 After 5 loud bangs, Pu Huati was met with tragedy. His head was broken, his chest was flattened, and there was not a single intact bone in his body, the strongest external attacker. Pu Huati finally realized that his death was not unjust. The 5 people who came in later were all physical experts. Moreover, they were all trained physical experts. Their attack power was extremely strong, and coupled with their godly martial skills, it was not an injustice to kill him. Although he trained in demonic arts and had the goo poison on him, he hadn't mastered it yet. Right now, normal sky class early to mid-phase spiritual practitioners couldn't do anything to him, but that didn't mean that these physical practitioners were useless against him. Spiritual practitioners use chi to hurt the enemy, and physical practitioners use the body to hurt the enemy. The two seemed to have similar destructive power, but spiritual chi couldn't penetrate Pu Huati's body. Iron fists, on the other hand, were different. This was what they meant by, there's always a counter to another. Even one of them was enough to injure him. Not to mention 5 at the same time. This was simply an instant kill. But before he died, he just couldn't figure out why 5 refined external martial arts experts had suddenly appeared. After killing Pu Huati, Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai quickly ran to Lin Yi. Boss, how are you? Boss should be fine. Chintian knew Lin Yi quite well, and he knew that Lin Yi could recover on his own, so he was quite shocked. He waved his hand at the two. Don't worry, just wait patiently and guard this place. Don't let anyone disturb us. Okay. Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai replied. Chintian, my friend. This body? There's another body over there. Elder Pai paused, only realizing that there was another body in the room. No wonder Lin Yi was so heavily injured. He was thinking that there was nothing special about killing that person, just a few people working together to kill him in one hit. Lin Yi shouldn't be so heavily injured. It seemed like Lin Yi had gotten injured while fighting with the others. Don't worry about it for now. Chintian waved his hand as he looked at Chen Shi on the ground. She couldn't be his sister-in-law, could she? She looked a little young, like a high schooler, but Chintian didn't dare tarry. He carefully lifted Chen Shi and put her on the sofa, untying her hands and feet. Old Pai and Old Wu nodded. They were older, but they still followed Chintian's orders. After all, Chintian had been with Lin Yi for the longest time. All right, then what should we? Elder Pai asked. Go find the boss here and ask him what's going on. Chintian knew that he couldn't disturb Lin Yi, but if something happened to Lin Yi, the boss would definitely be blamed. He might even know what happened, so the best thing to do was to ask him what happened. All right, I'll do it. Elder Pai nodded. His admiration for Lin Yi was unparalleled. At first, he served Lin Yi because Lin Yi helped Pai Jihai heal. But now, after seeing Lin Yi's power, especially after Lin Yi leveled him up to a master of both internal and external cultivation, his gratitude towards Lin Yi turned into admiration and worship. The world of cultivation was a world where the strong ruled. Elder Pai knew this, especially after seeing the potential and strength that Lin Yi had shown. He knew that if he followed Lin Yi closely, the Hidden House Pai's path would not only stop at the Hidden Noble House level, they might even become an ancient noble house. As long as he, Pai Jishan, and Pai Jihai all became heaven rank masters who cultivated both internal and external cultivation. The Holy Fist Palace would be the first to support them and support House Pai to become an ancient aristocratic family in the ancient level meeting. Then, Old Master Pai stood up and walked out of the room. There was no one around the room, but at the end of the corridor, there was a waiter who was looking at the situation with shifty eyes. "You, come here." Old Pai pointed at the waiter. Excuse me, sir. What can I do for you?" The waiter was startled and asked carefully in a panic. "Where's your boss?" Old Pai asked. "Our boss." "Excuse me, what can I do for you?" The waiter asked in a trembling voice. "Tell him to appear in front of me in 1 minute, or else I'll smash his place." Old Man Pai was the head of a family. He was usually very dignified, but now that he was Lin Yi's subordinate, he naturally became an arrogant little brother. The fastest update, please bookmark. Chapter 2372. Please wait. The waiter saw Elder Pai walk out of the Sky Room 1, and Gambling Bro had specifically asked him to check the room carefully and report back if anything happened. The waiter didn't dare to delay, so he relayed Elder Pai's request to Gambling Bro. "Boss, someone wants to see you." The person who came out of the Sky Room 1. He said that if you don't show up in a minute, he'll destroy our place. Oh. Gamble Bro frowned, displeased at the arrogance of the newcomer. But thinking back to the Earth-class strength that Lin Yi and Pu Laolu had displayed in the room, he knew that he, a mere golden-class late-phase peak, was no match for them at all. He couldn't fight against the person who came out of the room, whether it was Lin Yi or Pu Laolu. He thought about it and said, "Okay, I'll go now." Within a minute, Gambling Bro appeared in front of Elder Pai. "I'm the boss here. People call me Gambling Bro. Who's looking for me?" Gambling Bro looked around, but he didn't see Lin Yi, Pu Laolu, and Pu Huati. He wasn't that scared anymore, so he looked at Elder Pai and said calmly, "What's going on in that room?" Elder Pai pointed at the Sky Room 1 not far away. "Who are you?" Gambling Bro asked. "You're not going to tell me?" Old Man Pai furrowed his brows, a little annoyed. This boss didn't know how to appreciate favors. He casually clenched his fist, and with a punch, a bronze statue in the hallway was smashed into pieces. This was the most effective way. Old Pai didn't know that Gambling Bro was a practitioner, so he didn't bother to explain anything about Sky-class masters or hidden houses. From Old Pai's point of view, Gambling Bro didn't know much about these higher-level things. He was just a casino owner who had a good reputation in the underworld. So, Old Man Pai smashed the statue with 1 punch to shock Bro Gamble. But Gamble Bro's eyes showed shock. He was a cultivator, and although he was only at the peak late phase of Golden Class, he could see the depth of Old Pai's strength. Old Pai was a Sky-class early phase master. This made Gambling Bro's legs go soft and he almost knelt down. "Senior, I had eyes but failed to recognize MT Tai. So Senior is a heaven rank initial phase expert. If you have anything to say, please don't hesitate to tell me. I, Gambling Bro, will tell you everything I know." "Humph." Old Pai snorted, a little surprised. "You're a cultivator too?" "I'm just a master at the peak of the late phase of the Golden Class." Gambling Bro cupped his fist and said carefully, "Oh, then come with me. Tell me clearly what happened in this box." Old Man Pai heard that Gambling Bro was also a cultivator. It saved him a lot of trouble. At least he didn't have to threaten him. He would cooperate obediently. Yes, Gambling Bro didn't dare to delay at all. He nodded, but he was shocked. His little casino had such a master? Sky Class. That was a legendary existence, and he didn't expect to see one with his own eyes. Gambling Bro followed Old Pai back to the box, and what he saw shocked him. Pu Huati was dead, Pu Laolu was dead, and Lin Yi seemed to be dead as well. Which side were these people from? Could it be the Hidden House Zhao? That's right. I heard that the Hidden Zhao family's old master Zhao is a heaven rank expert. It seems like the 5 people in front of me are from a third party. Gambling Brother heaved a sigh of relief and probed. Senior is the Hidden Zhao family's old master Zhao? You know about the Hidden House Zhao? Old Pai frowned. I'm not from House Zhao. Don't try to use connections. Tell me everything you know. This, yes. Brother Gamble was slightly taken aback. From the looks of it, this person in front of him really wasn't from the hidden Zhao family. Moreover, from his tone, he didn't seem to be very respectful towards the hidden Zhao family. Hence, he didn't dare to have any more suspicions and hurriedly explained everything that had happened here. Actually, this had nothing to do with him. He invited Southeast Asia's king of gambling, Pu Huati, to fight Hong Kong's king of gambling, Zhu Qishou. The reason was very simple. In the past, Zhu Qishou had come to the casino to wreak havoc, causing Gambling Bro to suffer heavy losses. Zhu Qishou had killed all the consultants in Gambling Bro's casino, causing him to suffer a crushing defeat. Therefore, Gambling Bro was unwilling to accept this outcome. Coincidentally, he heard of Park Huati's name and invited him to challenge Zhu Qishou. Pu Huati wanted to win the girl's virginity through gambling, and Gambling Bro wanted to revive the casino's reputation and also to rub down Zhu Qishou's spirit. So the two of them hit it off. But in the end, the two of them were in a cooperative relationship, and there was no other relationship. Pu Huati's opponent this time was the Hidden House Zhao, and the Hidden House Zhao's people seemed to want to lose to Pu Huati on purpose. They made Chun Shi lose to Pu Huati. Not only that, but they also asked Gambling Bro to inform the security on the first and second floor, so that Lin Yi could come over smoothly. Anyway, Gambling Bro didn't dare to hide anything. The person in front of him was a heaven-class master. He even dared to betray the Hidden House Zhao, so he didn't dare to lie. He was a practitioner at the lowest level. If Old Pai wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. Oh? You mean, the Hidden House Zhao wanted to make this girl lose to Pu Huati on purpose, and then lure Mr. Lin here to save her? Old Pai understood what Gambling Bro meant. It should be like this, Gambling Bro said carefully. I understand. Okay, you can leave first. There's nothing for you to do here. Old Pai waved his hand and said to Gambling Bro. This matter really didn't have much to do with Gambling Bro, so Old Pai wouldn't vent his anger on him. He was just a small character. The Hidden House Zhao was behind all of this. Everything would have to wait for Lin Yi to wake up, and then let Lin Yi make the decision. Okay, Senior, if there's anything, you can find me anytime, Gambling Bro said carefully. Okay. Old Pai snorted and no longer cared about Gambling Bro. In his eyes, this kind of person was just an ant. He directly kicked him out, so that he wouldn't disturb Lin Yi's recovery. Although Lin Yi seemed to be unconscious, he was actually healing inside the space of the jade pendant. He could still clearly sense everything that happened outside. Hearing the conversation between Old Pai and Gambling Bro, Lin Yi's hatred towards the Hidden House Zhao increased a bit. Chapter 2373. Capturing Chen Shi to give to Pu Huati, trying to get past Pu Huati to get rid of him. Poor Pu Huati, on the other hand, didn't do anything wrong. It was his stubbornness, refusing to let go. If he had given up on Chen Shi, he wouldn't have been killed by Elder Pai and the others. But it was also because of his bad luck and strength. If it weren't for Elder Pai and the others, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to stop him today. It was a close shave. Lin Yi, naturally, wouldn't let it go just like that. The Hidden House Zhao, huh? He'll remember this. Zhao Qikuan, Elder Pai and the others, he'll get Zhao Qikuan to deal with you guys later. On the first floor of the casino, Yushu was playing happily. Oh, I'm genius Shu, I won again. Yushu looked at the combination of patterns on the screen and jumped up and down with her fists raised. Shu, does this count as cheating? Mengyao was a little worried after all. Yushu was the one who figured out the pattern of the slot tiger, and she was basically winning every round. In just a short while, Shu had already won more than 5 million in chips. If this continued, wouldn't the casino lose money? Would there be people coming to cause trouble? Cheating? We didn't cheat. We just figured out the pattern. How is that cheating? Yushu shook her head. It's fine. This is a big casino. Can't we afford to lose money? If we can't, our reputation will be ruined. You're right. Mengyao looked at the customers and nodded. If someone really came to stop her and Shu from winning, then the casino's reputation would be ruined. There were a lot of rich people in Donghai, and there were many big bosses who could afford to lose. However, they could lose money, but they would never allow people to say that they cheated when they were winning. Can't afford to win? Who would come to play then? Of course, under normal circumstances, the casino wouldn't do such a self-destructive thing. However, it wasn't like no one noticed Shu's continuous winnings. In the casino's surveillance room, there were people who had noticed this a long time ago. When they switched the image to Yushu, they realized that Yushu wasn't cheating at all. It wasn't easy to cheat at a slot machine like this, but it seemed like she had grasped some sort of calculation pattern. However, it wasn't that the casino didn't have any countermeasures. These slot machines were all connected to the internet. As long as they tampered with the control room, they could force the machine's program to not operate according to the conventional calculation method. The final result of human interference was a very simple matter. As a result, Yushu started losing after the surveillance team tampered with her slot machine, and she didn't even manage to win a single round. After all, no matter what she bet on, the people in the surveillance room would interfere with the result, and it'd be fine if the result didn't match Yushu's bet. Why isn't it working? Yushu looked at the slot machine in front of her strangely. She realized that her calculations weren't working. Logically speaking, it wasn't possible. She calculated it based on the results of the slot machine many times. All right, Shu, that's enough. No one can keep winning. Let's just play for a bit. Mengyao didn't know why Yushu's calculations weren't working, but she wasn't very interested in betting on the slot machine. No, there must be something wrong with this machine. I'll try another one. With that, Yushu walked over to another machine with a big box of chips in her hands, starting a new bet. As expected, this time, according to Yushu's calculations, the result was exactly the same. Yushu let out a yay and started betting again with confidence. However, this time, the result was tragic. The result was different from her calculations. Why isn't it working again? Yushu frowned, a little unhappy. Theoretically speaking, if the first calculation was correct, then the next one should work as well, but it just didn't work. Yushu switched to another machine, and it worked the first time, but it didn't work the second time. She was a little puzzled. In the surveillance room, the person in charge of the surveillance frowned as well. If Yushu played like this, she could really win once or twice if she switched to a different machine every time. After all, he still needed some time to get the control of the terminal machine. However, Yushu didn't plan to switch to another machine, and the person in charge breathed a sigh of relief. Yushu started studying the machine again, but no matter how she studied or what she bet on, the result would always be different. This result was the result of the person in charge of the surveillance, and Yushu couldn't calculate the pattern at all. What's going on? Yushu panicked as the chips in front of her decreased. She stopped studying the machine's pattern and started studying the machine itself. She walked around the machine, and her eyes lit up. There was an internet cable at the back of the machine, and there was an internet cable inserted into it. The data exchange light of the internet cable was blinking. However, only this machine's data exchange light was blinking very frequently. The other tiger bashers didn't flicker this much. Evidently, the tiger pheasant was constantly exchanging data with the server. Yushu had learned something like this in her school's computer class, and so she understood the reason why she was losing money right away. Her tiger basher was probably targeted by the person in charge of the server. No matter what she bet, the other side would interfere. Naturally, it was impossible for her to win money. Yushu was angry at the thought. She came here to gamble, and she didn't cheat. How dare they interfere? Wasn't this a little too petty? Yushu pulled out the internet cable and continued to bet with a smile on her face. As expected, the result was the same as the display. As expected, Yushu decided to place a higher bet this time. Very quickly, the chips in front of her went from a pitiful 2 million to more than 10 million. At this moment, the surveillance room was in chaos. The person in charge of the surveillance realized that he had lost connection with Yushu's tiger basher. He couldn't control the machine from the terminal, but from the surveillance footage, the tiger basher was still working normally, spitting out large amounts of chips. Chapter 2374. He'd been too focused on Yushu's screen that he hadn't seen her pull out the cable, and so he'd assumed that it was just a problem with the cable. He was sweating profusely from the panic, but he was a professional, after all, and after checking for a long time, he realized that all the other machines were working, except for Yushu's machine. He quickly called the boss of the casino, "Casino bro, out of nervousness. Gamble bro, bad news. There's a problem with one of the slot machines." The man said urgently, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" Gamble bro had just left the Sky Room 1 and was still in shock. He didn't think that it was a big deal when he heard that there was a problem with the slot machine. "Can't you get someone to fix it if there's a problem? It's just a slot machine." "No, Gamble bro, it's like this. Someone calculated the pattern of the slot machine." The man explained quickly and told Gamble bro about Yushu's situation. He then said with a sad face, "Now, the slot machine suddenly stopped working, and I can't change the results of her bets. The machine has already spat out tens of millions of chips, and if this continues, we'll lose our money." "What? Why didn't you say so earlier?" "Motherfucker, I'll bring someone over right now." Gamble bro sweated when he heard that the slot machine had spat out tens of millions of chips. He quickly called a few security guards over to the surveillance room. Gambler bro, on the other hand, frowned when he saw Yushu continue to win money in the video. Gamble bro had been in this casino for many years, and he could tell with one look that Yushu wasn't cheating. She had an extremely high IQ and had used some kind of exquisite calculation method to calculate the results of the slot machine. But this type of person was also the hardest to deal with in the casino, because there was no way to find any evidence of her cheating. Usually, when someone like this appeared, the casino would take measures to interfere with the results of the slot machine, forcing the expert to back off. If it was a bet with someone else, the casino would hire a gambling consultant to watch the fight. As for Zhu Qisho, he had also come to challenge the casino. Not only did he win against the casino's gambling consultant, but he also won 20 million yuan from Gambling Bro. Although he only got 10 million after the incident, it made Gambling Bro very sullen and disgraced him. After all, Zhu Qisho was the famous king of gamblers in Harbor City. He even had a mystic stage master as his bodyguard. Brother Zhu Qisho didn't dare to use force. Asking for 10 million was already giving him a lot of face. Of course, this was also because Zhu Qisho was an insider and knew to leave some leeway when doing things. This time, Gambling Bro had invited Pu Huati to challenge Zhu Qisho in order to wash away his shame. He didn't expect that Pu Huati would be killed before he could even fight. Let's go take a look. Gambling Bro looked at the two youthful and beautiful gambling experts on the screen. He was a little confused. Where did these two people come from? If he was the gambling king, why hadn't he heard of him before? But no matter what, Brother Gamble couldn't let her continue to win. If this continued, he would go bankrupt. Because of his daughter's kidnapping, he was blackmailed out of 20 million. Seeing that Yushu was about to win 20 million, he wanted to die. With a few security guards in tow, Gambling Bro went straight to Yushu's slot machine on the first floor. "Yay, I won again. My chips are over 20 million. Yushu cried out in joy. "Ahem. Shu, we might be in trouble." Mengyao frowned as she reminded Yushu as she looked at the aggressive security guards surrounding them. But Mengyao wasn't too worried. If worst comes to worst, they could just give up the chips and take back the money they lost. The casino wanted money, and with so many customers around, they couldn't be violent. "Oh." Yushu stopped her bet and looked around. She frowned as well. "Beautiful miss, let me introduce myself. I'm the owner of this casino. People call me Gambling Bro." Gambling Bro said directly. "The slot machine in front of you has a malfunction, causing the system to malfunction. It's spitting out chips non-stop, but these don't count." Yushu hesitated. She was usually arrogant and fearless because of Lin Yi, but Lin Yi wasn't there. She wasn't an idiot, and naturally, she wouldn't start a fight with this many security guards. But Yushu's eyes lit up as she said arrogantly, "Gambling Bro? You're saying that you can't pay up, so you're trying to find an excuse to say that the slot machine is broken?" "Miss, if that's how you want to interpret it, then there's nothing I can do," Gambling Bro said faintly with a shrug. "But to make up for your losses, I've given each of you a 1 million yuan red packet. Take it and leave." 2 million? Do you think I'm a beggar? I won 20 million. Yushu didn't let it go. Shu. Meng Yao pulled on Shu's arm, signaling her not to overdo it. Relax, Yao Yao. Shield Bro's here. Yushu whispered into Meng Yao's ear. Oh. Meng Yao smiled bitterly. No wonder Shu was so stubborn. She had someone to back her up. Lin Yi was worried about Meng Yao and Yushu, and this wasn't the best place to recover his qi. Lin Yi stood up after healing his organs and meridians. As for the qi he'd lost and the other injuries, Lin Yi planned to recover slowly when he got back. Boss, are you all right? Chen Tian had been paying attention to Lin Yi the whole time. He asked when Lin Yi stood up. Boss. Jishan and Jihai looked at Lin Yi, concerned. Haha, I'm fine. Lin Yi nodded and stretched his body. Let's go. Thank you for coming in time and keeping Pu Huati here. This is Pu Huati? Chen Tian asked as he looked at the corpse on the ground. You know Pu Huati? Lin Yi was surprised. Southeast Asia's gambling king. I heard he came to Donghai recently. I didn't expect him to be killed by us. Chen Tian said casually. Right, boss. The boss from before is here. After all, the forces in Southeast Asia were too far away for Chen Tian. No matter what, they wouldn't come looking for trouble on a large scale. Even if Pu Huati's sect was pissed, there was nothing they could do. Chapter 2375. With that, Lin Yi walked over to Qian Shi's sofa to check on her, but very quickly, Lin Yi calmed down. Qian Shi was just drugged with sleeping pills and fainted, nothing serious. Lin Yi carried Qian Shi and nodded to Old Pai and the others, indicating that they could leave together. Lin Yi was carrying a girl, the front of his shirt covered in blood, and behind him were 5 bodyguards. It was a strange combination, but the security guards all lowered their heads, not daring to look at Lin Yi and the others. This was probably the result of Gamble Bro's warning. Naturally, Gamble Bro didn't want to offend this group of people. Any one of them could tear his casino apart, and so Gamble Bro had told the security guards not to do anything. When they reached the first floor, Lin Yi raised an eyebrow when he saw Gamble Bro and a group of security guards surrounding Meng Yao and Yushu. Lin Yi didn't think that Meng Yao and Yushu would be in trouble. After all, he was here to cause trouble, and no one should be able to link it to Meng Yao and Yushu. Could it be that Gamble Bro saw the recording? But that couldn't be. If Gamble Bro knew how powerful they were, why would he dare to make things difficult for them? But when Lin Yi walked closer and heard the conversation between Yushu and Gamble Bro, he understood immediately. So Yushu won some money, and Gamble Bro didn't want to honor his winnings. This made Lin Yi think that Gamble Bro was looking for a beating. How much did Yushu win for Gamble Bro to show up personally? Miss, Gamble Bro, run a casino, and naturally, I have the capital to do so. We welcome customers to come here to win money, but do you think you could win that much with 20 million chips in front of you by playing a slot machine? Gamble Bro knew that Yushu had noticed the pattern, but he didn't say so. Instead, he blamed it on the machine malfunctioning. Other customers, take a look. Has anyone won more than 20 million with this slot machine? As soon as Brother Gamble said that, the customers who had some doubts about his behavior now understood a little. Indeed, those who had played slot machines before knew that it was possible to win a small amount of money with this thing, but to win a lot of money, especially more than 20 million in one go. Was that even possible? It was possible that the slot machine had malfunctioned. Therefore, no one doubted Brother Gamble's words this time. Instead, they felt that Brother Gamble was very benevolent. Logically speaking, if the machine malfunctioned, the chips that they won would be considered invalid. However, Brother Gamble actually took out 2 million as compensation. It was not bad. You know very well whether you can win or not, Yushu said, ignoring Gamble Bro. She waved at someone not far away. Shield Bro, there are people surrounding Shu and Yao Yao sis. Come and save us. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and touched his nose, but he still walked towards the crowd. However, when he saw Lin Yi walking over, Gamble Bro felt as if he was shocked by a high-voltage electricity. His whole body was like a wooden chicken. There were 2 reasons why he was shocked. First, wasn't Lin Yi dead? How did he come back to life? Second, Behind Lin Yi, there was Old Pai and a group of people. These people were following behind Lin Yi. They seemed like Lin Yi's follower. This way, Lin Yi stood out, but Gamble Bro was even more afraid. Because Yushu called out Lin Yi, this person just killed Pu Huati and Pu Laolu. He also had a sky-class follower. This person was unimaginably strong. He couldn't offend him even if he was beaten to death. Gamble Bro wanted to cry. Was money more important, or his life more important? If he knew that this girl in front of him was under this guy, he wouldn't have come down to cause trouble. He saw that Lin Yi even dared to kill the hidden house Zhao and Pu Huati. It was obvious that killing Gamble Bro wasn't difficult at all. Is the machine broken? Lin Yi walked over and looked at Gamble Bro. He asked faintly, Old Pai, can you fix it for him? It's not broken. There's no need to fix it. Gamble Bro saw Old Pai take a step forward and walked over. He was so scared that he almost peed his pants. Sky Class. Asking a Sky Class to fix his machine? It was more like fixing his Gamble Bro. If he still couldn't hear the displeasure in Lin Yi's words, then he would have wasted all his time in this world. If it's not broken, then what are you doing here? Lin Yi asked back. Right. I saw that this lady won a lot of money. I was afraid that someone might rob her, so I brought some security guards to protect her. That's it. Brother Gamble had an idea and quickly said, Is that so? Lin Yi naturally knew that Gamble Bro was talking nonsense. Of course, miss, you can continue to play. Gamble Bro's heart was bleeding. If he continued to play, he would go bankrupt. Forget it. It's boring. Shield Bro, you seem to be hurt. Are you all right? Yushu said, not interested in playing anymore after seeing Lin Yi covered in blood. I'm fine. Let's go home if we don't want to. Lin Yi didn't want to stay in the casino any longer. He wanted to go back and recover his chi as soon as possible. Oh, okay. Yushu, too, could tell that Lin Yi's injuries weren't light. She stopped playing and turned to Gamble Bro. Convert the chips to cash and transfer them to me. Gamble Bro couldn't help but smile bitterly. Miss, our casino doesn't have that much cash right now. Can you give us a few more days? Gamble Bro's arrogance was gone, and he was now careful. This made the bystanders look at him with disdain. They all understood that Gamble Bro was just a bully before, and now he was afraid of these people. He didn't dare argue with them anymore, and could only cash out his chips. But it seemed like he was still trying to cheat. No money. A casino as big as yours doesn't even have 20 million in cash? Yushu naturally didn't believe it. I'm not going to hide it from you. My daughter was kidnapped, and I was extorted 20 million yuan by the kidnappers. I really can't come up with so much money in a short time. Do you think you can give me a month? 1 month is enough. Gamble Bro said helplessly. Why was he so unlucky recently? First his daughter was kidnapped, and now he offended a bunch of practitioners, including a Sky Class. All right, how much money do you have now? Transfer it to me first. Lin Yi believed Gamble Bro's words. He had just seen someone get kidnapped, and Ling Shan was also solving the case, so Lin Yi didn't force him. I have 5 or 6 million now. Gamble Bro said gratefully. Then transfer this first. You can give me the rest when you have money. Lin Yi said. Chapter 2376. Okay. Gambling Bro replied quickly. Lin Yi nodded and left the casino with Ming Yao, Yushu, and Elder Pai. Gambling Bro let out a breath of relief, but what gave him a headache was what to do with Pu Huati and Pu Lao's corpses. How was he going to explain this to Pu Huati's right Miao clan? Gambling Bro's head pounded at the thought. What an unlucky year. After Lin Yi got home, he locked himself in his room and entered the jade space, quickly healing the remaining injuries in his body. The pure chi from heaven and earth surged into his body, and through the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, it quickly healed Lin Yi's injured meridians and organs. The injuries this time were very serious, even more serious than when he fought against the bodyguard. When he fought against the bodyguard, Lin Yi wasn't forced into the jade space, but this time, Lin Yi's injuries couldn't be any more serious, and he was forcefully pulled in by the jade space. Just like when he saved Guan Xian, It was an involuntary situation. It was a good thing that the art of dragon mastery could heal the meridians very quickly, so he wasn't too worried. Outside the villa's living room, Mingyao and Yushu were listening to Chen Tian's recount of what happened in the room. Of course, most of it was from Gambling Bro and Elder Pai, and he didn't see it with his own eyes. He didn't see the dangerous fight between Lin Yi, Pu Huati, and Pu Laolu either, so Gambling Bro didn't know what happened. He only knew the cause and the result, but he didn't know what happened. Even so, Mingyao and Yushu were shaken to the core. They didn't think that their random trip to the casino would turn out to be the right decision, saving Chen Shi. Mingyao and Yushu weren't too familiar with Chen Shi, but they weren't strangers either. They heard that Hidden House Zhao had given her to Pu Huati as a hostage to lure Lin Yi. Both of them were furious. Yao Yao sis, this Hidden House Zhao is too evil. They want to get someone else to do their dirty work. Shu cursed Zhao Guangyin and Zhao Qibing to be struck by lightning. Yushu said angrily. It's all in the past. Shu, don't worry about it. Lin Yi will take care of it. Mingyao was calmer. Lin Yi was dealing with the Hidden House Zhao. Perhaps he would have to make a move sooner or later, but now was definitely not the time. In the room, Lin Yi's injuries were mostly healed, and he was replenishing the true qi in his body. Soon, the pure spiritual qi in the jade space was converted into true qi by the art of dragon mastery, flowing into Lin Yi's meridians and finally into his dantian. Gradually, the true energy within Lin Yi's body was becoming more and more abundant. However, it showed no signs of stopping as it continued to grow. This feeling immediately made Lin Yi happy. This feeling was all too familiar to Lin Yi. This was the sign before every breakthrough. This feeling was the sign of touching the barrier of the level. Lin Yi didn't dare to be careless at this moment. He gathered his thoughts and focused again, speeding up the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, using it as an opportunity to break through. The pure spiritual qi flowed into Lin Yi's meridians through Lin Yi's meridians. Under the conversion of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, it turned into waves of true qi, circulating in Lin Yi's meridians. It was about to fill his entire body. Lin Yi, on the other hand, gritted his teeth and continued to use the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. He continued to absorb the pure spiritual qi of heaven and earth. He wanted to break through the barrier in one go. However, it didn't last long. Lin Yi clenched his teeth and persisted for about 15 minutes. The energy was no longer absorbed into his body. No matter how Lin Yi used the chant, he couldn't absorb any more true qi. Sigh. Lin Yi sighed. He knew he couldn't do it anymore. He could only stop and let out a light sigh, feeling a little regretful. This time, he was injured, healed, and recovered his true qi. It was a very good opportunity to break through the barrier. Lin Yi had been waiting for this opportunity for a long time, but in the end, he still failed. However, Lin Yi didn't want to give up this golden opportunity. After a short rest, he began to use the second stage of the art of dragon mastery again, trying to break through for the second time. This time, Lin Yi used a more extreme method, using the method of absorbing and compressing energy to break through. Since the normal method of breaking through did not work, then Lin Yi could only try to break through by force. Thus, Lin Yi used the art of dragon mastery, gathering all the energy in the space of the jade pendant around him, and began to compress the energy around him. This was a last resort. Lin Yi didn't want to give up just like that, so he could only try to break through by force. Not far away, Zhao Lao looked at Lin Yi and shook his head. He was already somewhat indifferent to Lin Yi's madness. From his point of view, as long as Lin Yi didn't die, it was fine. The pain was also self-inflicted. He was already used to it. Hoo! Lin Yi took a deep breath and absorbed the compressed energy into his body. In an instant, Lin Yi's face suddenly turned red, showing an unhealthy expression. The compressed energy in Lin Yi's body was released in an instant. Lin Yi only felt like he was a balloon that was about to burst. His whole body was like a balloon, bulging up and down uncomfortably. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels felt like they were compressed together, squeezed to the point where there was no space at all. Lin Yi screamed in agony as beads of sweat rolled down his determined face. He couldn't help but scream in agony as he felt like he was about to explode from the excruciating pain. Finally, Linny couldn't take it anymore. He spat out a mouthful of blood. His whole body felt like it was about to explode, and there was a boom in his head, however. What Linny couldn't accept was that he could endure the pain, but he couldn't break through. This was what made him very depressed. Almost, just a little bit more. Linny smiled bitterly and complained in a very depressed manner. Jiao Lao, I almost broke through. Above Earth class, you can't forcefully break through by compressing your vital energy. If you continue to try, won't it just increase the pain? Zhao Yazi looked at Lin Yi and shook his head. There's a saying, more haste, less speed. You're still a little bit away from breaking through. I'm afraid it's not possible for you to break through by force. Then, I can't break through today? Lin Yi asked a little unwillingly. Breaking through today isn't very realistic, Zhao Yazi said. After this time, I'm afraid it won't be easy to encounter such an opportunity again. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Now that his injuries were healed, it was a good opportunity. Chapter 2377. His meridians had just been repaired, and they were still very resilient. They hadn't stabilized yet, and it was perfect for forcefully breaking through. After a few more days, it would be even more difficult to break through. Then try again. Zhao Yazi didn't try to persuade Lin Yi anymore. He knew Lin Yi's personality. He was the type of person who would try as long as there was a sliver of hope. Lin Yi quickly repaired the parts of his meridians that were damaged by the Qi bomb before continuing to compress the energy bomb, starting the second attempt. Boom. The second attempt to compress his true Qi failed. Boom. The third attempt to compress his true Qi failed. Boom. The 10th attempt to compress his true Qi failed. Lin Yi felt a sense of defeat. Could it be that he was too impatient? Just a little bit more and he could break through, but it was this little bit that kept Lin Yi at Earth class mid-phase. I don't want to give up. Lin Yi roared furiously. Yes, he really didn't want to give up. He was just a little bit away from breaking through to Earth class mid-phase peak. But because of that little bit, he couldn't break through. He had already controlled the amount of energy he could compress to the limit. Any more, and it would explode outside his body. If Lin Yi took in a little more Qi, or if his practitioner's arts circulated a little faster, he would be able to break through in the same amount of time. But, wait, faster practitioner's arts? Lin Yi suddenly remembered something important. Wu Qintian. Lin Yi came back to reality from the jade space and called out to the living room outside. Boss, what's wrong? Chuntian quickly ran over and pushed open the door to Lin Yi's room. You and Yao Yao, go get Wang Xinyan. Lin Yi quickly ordered. Hurry up, it's urgent. I need her urgently. It'll be too late if we're late. Chuntian froze. Wasn't the boss a little too horny? Did he need Wang Xinyan urgently? However, when he saw the anxious and solemn expression on Lin Yi's face, he did not dare to ask too much. He quickly nodded and said, Okay, I'll go now. Lin Yi's voice wasn't soft at all, and Meng Yao and Yushu heard it as well. They looked at each other strangely, shocked by Lin Yi's words as well. Lin Yi wouldn't have gone crazy again, would he? Yao Yao, is Shield Bro in heat? Yushu said in surprise. Shu, Lin Yi's acting weird. Let's go find Xinyan. Meng Yao understood Lin Yi's personality. If Lin Yi really needed a woman after going crazy, he would have gone straight to Shu or even her. There was no need for him to go to Wang Xinyan. After all, Meng Yao thought that Xinyan might become Lin Yi's girlfriend. But at least the two of them weren't really in a relationship other than an ambiguous one. So, with Lin Yi's personality, he wouldn't go to bed with Xinyan. There was no way he was going to get Wang Xinyan to sleep with him. There had to be something else. Oh, okay. Yushu nodded. She was just saying it casually. She wouldn't mess around or joke at a critical moment like this. She hurried out of the villa with Chuntian and ran to the car. Elder Pai, you guys protect the boss. I'll go with Yao Yao and the others. Chuntian said quickly. Okay, don't worry. We're here. Elder Pai patted his chest. He had a sky class with him, and as long as it wasn't a troublesome enemy, he would be able to handle it. Chuntian nodded. He quickly got into the jeep in the yard, and Mengyao and Yushu got in as well. The three of them rushed to school. Wang Xinyan should be in the dorm at this time. It was Sunday. It was afternoon, and even the students who had gone home were back in their rooms. Plus, Wang Xinyan didn't seem to be home during the weekend. Her parents seemed to be very busy. Mengyao and Yushu knew where Xinyan's dorm was. Chuntian parked the car downstairs, and Mengyao and Yushu rushed up and knocked on Xinyan's door. It wasn't Xinyan who opened the door, but another girl from Xinyan's dorm, Chai Xiaoling, Zhao Xingji's girlfriend. Mengyao and Yushu had gone to the Tiger Lion Park with her before, and they'd had a meal together. Yao Yao, Shu, are you here for Xinyan? Xiaoling could guess why Mengyao and Yushu were here. She and Himeiwen knew Mengyao and Yushu, but they didn't interact much with them. Xinyan was the only one who seemed to have a good relationship with them. Xiaoling was very curious sometimes. Mengyao and Yushu seemed to have some kind of relationship with Lin Yi, and so did Xinyan. The three of them seemed to be very close at the same time. It was weird. Where's Xinyan? Mengyao said hurriedly. Because Lin Yi's tone was very, very urgent, it must have been a big problem, and so Mengyao didn't dare to be slow. She didn't bother greeting Xiaoling politely and asked directly. Xinyan's in the shower. What's wrong? What's wrong? Xiaoling was curious why Mengyao was in such a hurry. Shower? Mengyao blinked. She didn't expect Xinyan to be in the shower at this time. She was in a difficult position. Then, how long has she been in the shower? About 5 minutes, right? Xiaoling was even more confused about why Mengyao was in such a rush. What happened? Mengyao didn't know how to explain it, and she was in a dilemma. Yushu, on the other hand, charged into Xinyan's dorm room and pulled up a sheet from what looked like Xinyan's bed before rushing into the bathroom. Who's there? Xinyan screamed when she saw someone opening the bathroom door. She didn't hear Mengyao and Yushu coming to the dorm because of the shower, so she jumped when Shu opened the door. This was a girl's room, and boys weren't allowed to enter. Xinyan didn't lock the door, but under normal circumstances, roommates wouldn't open the door. Xinyan breathed a sigh of relief when she saw it was Yushu, but at the same time, she was puzzled. What was Yushu doing here? Xinyan sis, come with us. Shield bro needs you. With that, Yushu turned off the shower and covered Xinyan with the bedsheet. She wrapped Xinyan up like a mummy and pushed her out of the room. Yushu's eyes lit up as she walked out of the room. Chapter 2378. Too coincidental? What are you talking about? Stop it. Xinyan didn't understand what Yushu was trying to do and was pushed out of the washroom. Shield bro really needs you. He's dying. It's too late. Yushu didn't know why Linny was in such a rush to find Xinyan, but she just wanted Xinyan to hurry up. Dying? Xinyan was shocked. What do you mean? What's wrong with him? It's a long story. Come with us. Yushu said as she pushed Xinyan. Let me put on some clothes first. Xinyan smiled bitterly. It's too late. Yao Yao, help us. Yushu waved at Mengyao. Mengyao didn't want to play around with Yushu, but it'd take a lot of time for Xinyan to put on some clothes. She grabbed a jacket that she suspected to be Xinyan's and draped it over Xinyan's body, pushing Xinyan out with Yushu. Xinyan didn't know what to do. If she didn't know that Mengyao and Yushu couldn't be kidnappers, she would have thought that she was kidnapped again. But looking at how worried they were, Linny must have really made a mistake. Xinyan didn't insist, and just like that, she was pushed out of the room with the jacket wrapped around her and went downstairs. It wasn't to the extent of exposing herself, since she was wrapped tightly in the sheet, but it still attracted a lot of weird looks from her classmates. But Xinyan didn't have anything to explain, and just followed Mengyao and Yushu out of the girls' dorm, getting into the jeep. Chuntian was surprised to see Xinyan dressed like this, but he didn't say anything. He started the car and drove back to the villa in the Shueshang district. Now, can you guys tell me what happened to Linny? Xinyan was a little troubled. What the hell was she doing with her naked body wrapped in a sheet? She looked like a mistress who got caught in the act. We don't know either. Mengyao shrugged apologetically. Xin Yan paused. If you guys don't know, then why did you make me come out in such a hurry? Lin Yi ran into an enemy and got heavily injured. He's been recovering in his room since he got home, but he suddenly called Wu Chuntian over, saying that he really needs you. He wants us to bring you over immediately. Meng Yao explained. That's it. We don't know why he's looking for you, but he seems to be in a hurry. Is that so? Xin Yan blinked, but something seemed to have dawned on her. Could it be that Lin Yi's healing had failed, and he needed her sent to help him? Xin Yan blushed at the thought. Xin Yan sis, you have to be careful. Shield bro might be in heat, Yushu said. Xin Yan's face turned even redder at the thought of what she was wearing. It was embarrassing enough having Lin Yi sniff her scent while he healed, and now she wasn't wearing anything at all. Yushu thought that Xin Yan believed her when she saw the blush. She smiled mischievously. Xin Yan sis, now that you're Shield Bro's woman, you have to get along well with Yao Yao sis. Don't bully her. ? Xin Yan didn't know what Shu was talking about, not understanding what was going on. Shu, don't talk nonsense. What does this have to do with me? Meng Yao glared at Yushu. I'm just worried that Yao Yao sis will get bullied in the future. We're alone. Yushu mumbled, but didn't continue. It didn't take long for the car to arrive at the villa's entrance. Meng Yao and Yushu dragged Xin Yan into the villa, pushing her into Lin Yi's bedroom without caring if she wanted to or not. Shu even pulled off Xin Yan's jacket and pushed her onto Lin Yi's bed before quickly closing the door with Meng Yao. Hehehe. Yushu smiled mischievously. Yao Yao, you've achieved your goal. What do you mean my goal? Meng Yao had been trying to get Lin Yi and Xin Yan together, but now that it was over, she felt a little uncomfortable. It was as if someone had stolen something from her. It was a complicated feeling. It's nothing. Yushu surprisingly stopped messing around. Xin Yan sis is a good person. She doesn't have any bad intentions. You'll get along well with Yao Yao sis in the future. I'm not worried. What? Meng Yao blinked, not understanding what Yushu was saying. It's nothing. Yushu shook her head before resuming her smile. Detective Shu 007, go check if Shield Bro did push Xin Yan sis down. With that, Yushu put her ear to Lin Yi's door. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had been compressing the energy bomb, waiting for Wang Xinyan's arrival before breaking through the barrier in one go. Now that Wang Xinyan was here, it was only natural that he started preparing to break through the barrier. Lin Yi? You? I? Xinyan jumped at the sight of the blood on Lin Yi's body, not knowing what to do. Come closer to me. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Xinyan's situation. Xinyan was wrapped in a bedsheet, and there were water stains on her hair. She'd been showering when Meng Yao and Yushu brought her back forcefully. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? Yeah, Xinyan replied softly. She was a little embarrassed, but Lin Yi was in such a pitiful state that she didn't dare tarry. Her body trembled as she moved closer to Lin Yi, her heart pounding, her face red as well. It wasn't the first time she'd been intimate with Lin Yi, after all. They'd slept together during military training, and Xinyan always tried to get close to Lin Yi with less clothes on during class. But today was a little different. Meng Yao and Yushu were outside, after all, and Xinyan couldn't bring herself to do that. They probably thought that Lin Yi wanted to sleep with her, didn't they? Xinyan's face was as red as blood at the thought. The aroma on Xinyan's body was like a shot of adrenaline into Lin Yi's body, and with the help of the bomb, Lin Yi's chi reached its peak. Lin Yi quickly channeled the art of dragon mastery. He could clearly feel that he was about to break through. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.